Feeling fatigued? You're about to get your afternoon boost with Tony Gwynn Jr.
Don't panic.
Starting pitcher. I wasn't panicking.
You look like you panicked.
Chris Ello.
That's what Buster Polney considered.
And Matt Skraby.
Such an old guy thing to do. Like, I'm not going to deal with these automated balls and strikes.
Don't blame us for any side effects.
You thrilled our fans throughout the postseason with a great performance.
And so indeed we go. Welcome to it, everybody. Finally, a Friday edition of Gwynn and Chris on San Diego's #1 sports talk station, 97.3 The Fan. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr. He is in Denver today, where the weather report is favorable. Matt Skraby alongside here in the Odyssey Palace studios as we get going on a 2.5-hour show today. Ahead of Padre baseball, reliever Jeremiah Estrada is expected to be our Friar Friday guest, so stick around for that. And before we go too far, Skraby reminded me of this, but happy heavenly birthday to the greatest, Tony Gwynn. Tony, I know that your heart a little heavy about that today, but we always have to take a moment to pay tribute to Pops.
Yes. Thank you for that, gentlemen. Would have been his 65th birthday today. And, you try to keep these things in a celebratory manner, but it's hard not to, go down memory lane and things of that nature, but a lot of, messages, a lot of texts, all appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, there's no question. And Padres will start a series here against the historically bad Colorado Rockies. We can detail it many different ways, but suffice to say, I think this is one of the more surprising statistics about this year's edition of the Rockies. They come into tonight's game as the lowest scoring team in Major League Baseball. Think about it for a second. They play half their games at Coors Field, where it's almost impossible not to get a hit. But here they are. They've scored fewer runs this year than the Pirates have, and the Padres saw them last week. So all that said,
I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you've heard Jesse's number on this as it pertains to, like the air and how hard versus how easy it is per stadium, right? And so, it's historically Seattle has been one of the hardest places to hit the ball out of the ballpark, travel-wise.
All right.
Because for whatever reasons, I'm not smart enough.
The air is heavy.
Jesse.
The flip side.
This is why we keep Jesse around, because he knows this
Right.
stuff and we don't.
The flip side is that the Rockies place, Colorado, has always been notoriously one of the best places to hit. That was not the case. Apparently, last year, Colorado, for whatever reason, was a tougher ballpark than Seattle was last year. I have to have Jesse explain that a little bit better than I did. But nonetheless, either way, this team has, especially the last couple of years, offensively just don't stack up with what you've seen in the past. At least on offense, you could always rely that the Rockies would score runs, especially at home. And that's not the case anymore.
Not even close. Like we said, last in runs scored in all of baseball. They scored 3 runs yesterday, but that was in 2 games. And they gave up 21. And Kyle Freeland, the starting pitcher yesterday, in the Denver Post today, said basically, it's frustrating because we're a young team. There are other young teams out there that are doing it the right way. We're doing it the wrong way. I mean, that's pretty critical of your own organization, but it's pretty accurate, to say that right now.
If there's somebody, there's somebody who is has the standing to have this conversation, it's certainly Kyle Freeland. He has been there as a young guy and now as a salty. And I would listen. I take heed if he's not a dude that I recall really speaking very much.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's coming out and saying this that's an observation that he is taken at this point.
Yeah, well, it's an observation that's actually correct. And
Accurate,
you know, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, other than Brenton Doyle, who's in a 7 for 56 slump right now, other than Ezekiel Tovar, who's not playing, he's on the injured list. Other than Ryan McMahon, okay, I'll get him in today, but right. He's a veteran who's been there and won, you know, Gold Glove and All-Star, but he had an 0 for 35 earlier this year. Other than that, they're playing pretty much with a 4A roster. They got guys that can do something. Hunter Goodman, Michael Tolia, Jordan Beck, couple, you know, 3 young guys that are, you know, learning the ropes. But for now, you know, the Padres, you know, frankly, the pressures, if there is such a thing, is on the Padres to go in there and take care of business this weekend. And I expect that they will. There is good news for the Padres, really good news. Jake Cronenworth is back. He has been recalled. He will join the team. I imagine he's in the lineup tonight. I haven't officially seen a lineup yet, a little early for that. But Jake returns. And if history is any indication, it's a good place for Jake to return. His career OPS at Coors Field, Tony, is 1026.
Yes.
He hammers the ball there. The only guy who has a better OPS there is Fernando at 1065. So, you know, look, you're in a,
don't think Jake didn't know that either, too, by the way.
Yes, he hurried his way back. He hurried his way back to get here for Colorado. I don't blame you, Jake. Very smart guy, Jake Cronenworth. Oscar Gonzalez is the guy who was sent down here. So now the Padres are very close to what their opening day roster is, Tony, at least from the fielding player perspective. I believe if you look at the opening day roster, compare it to the roster today, the only difference is that Tyler Wade is on it and Yuli Gurriel is not on it. And and that's off the top of my head. So if I'm missing one somewhere, let me know. But I think it's pretty close, you know, to what they had, and everybody's back and healthy. And, you know, look, let's make a little run here. The Dodgers got beat last night in Arizona. Grand slam by Gabriel Moreno, who to that point had not hit a home run all year. Ketel Marte also homered for the first time all year. And, of course, he's been injured. A little different story, but the Dodgers fall. We talked about the fact that they got a lot of injury problems right now, both in their lineup and in the pitching staff. And Padres are 1 game back as the Dodgers and Diamondbacks keep playing each other. So it's a good weekend to make up some ground, and I think they're going to be able to do it. So I hope.
You mentioned yesterday, I think, it was yesterday, I believe, about the week schedule. They'll get a little taste of the National League West outside of Colorado, who was the only team they had faced leading up to that game. Now, we'll see how they fare these next couple of games. Well, they played a Thursday game, so that means it must be a 4-game set then, huh?
Yeah, 4-gamer, yeah. So they'll be there all weekend. So. You know, I was looking at the comparison of the teams in the division, and I think a lot of people just in, you know, looking at it, think the Padres are the one that have played the weak schedule so far. It's not true. The Padres have played 20 games against winning teams, and they're 12-8, which is a fine record. Diamondbacks have also played 20. The Giants have played 15. Dodgers have only played 14 games against teams with winning records. So what I'm trying to say is it's probably going to be happening soon rather than later that the Padres start getting a little easier look at the schedule. But we've also mentioned this 100 times before, Tony. Baseball doesn't care, right? The Nationals can take 3 straight from you. The Rays can come to town and take 3. So the records of the other teams are fun to talk about, but ultimately you got to play ball, play it right. Hey, you've never played I'm sure when you were the Brew Crew, the Dodgers, or even the Padres, maybe you're playing some last place team during the middle of August. Is there anything special you have to do to remind yourself, you know, going into these games to, you know, avoid any kind of letdown? Because that would be the only thing that would concern me a little bit if that could happen.
No, I don't think there's anything you remind yourself. I think a lot of times those things, when they're happening in real time, you realize at that point, oh dang, maybe we kind of came in here a little bit too light. You never go into the game thinking to yourself, oh yeah, man, we're gonna go in here and just roll over, because you just know, if you've been in that league, you know that on any given day somebody can step on the mound and have no hit stuff that has never had no hit stuff before. And so That's just kind of how it goes. And I think it happens, but I think most of the time, you good teams know going in that that's just not something we can allow happen.
Well, if the opposing pitcher is going to have no-hit stuff tonight, it would have to be Antonio Senzatella, whose 1.86 whip is the worst in all of Major League Baseball, coming into the game tonight. So we'll hope and imagine that the Padres will be able to take advantage of that as they send Randy Vasquez to the mound tonight. And, I would advise Vasquez to get a little bit more of the middle of the plate here at Coors Field, but he does pitch to contact, and contact at Coors Field can be a little dangerous because there is so much room for the ball to fall in, Tony. I think you've got to really, limit the walks tonight if you're Vasquez, and I'm sure that's what he's thinking every game, so it's kind of a fine line for him to walk because you don't want to be thinking about that out there.
I think it's especially important tonight, though, because that's the way that a Rockies team can come back and get you, is if you're giving them free passes and making it easier for them to create those opportunities. That's something that can get you. And so, he's going to have to be on it today. He was much better in his last outing. We'll see what this one looks like here tonight.
Yeah, Stephen Kolek will pitch tomorrow, and he's coming off a really nice first start in Pittsburgh. Yeah. So, and then you get Pivetta on Sunday. So that's the way things line up here at Coors Field. One last thing about Coors Field. Padres all-time at Coors Field have a .410 winning percentage, and that's against the Rockies, who are not very good over, all this time. The Padres have a .420 winning percentage at Dodger Stadium. Better than what they do at Coors Field. So I understand why people think this is a scary weekend series. But
it's just so much scar tissue from the past.
That's a good line, Skraby.
It really
Thank you. It's a good line. You better record me saying that because you don't hear it very often. We are underway. Jeremiah Estrada is going to be our Friday guest. Stick around. We don't have a time pinned down for that yet. As soon as we do, we'll let you know. Tony's there in Denver. Gwynn and Chris underway. Finally a Friday. Glad you're with us. 97.3 The Fan.
Tony Gwynn Jr. here. The baseball season is upon us, which means long.
It has to do with average temperatures in the year 2024. And this is the average temperature, hot, maximum per day, minimum per day. It is going to be your job today to find the 25 states whose average temperature is under 55 degrees. California's at 60. You're looking for anything under 55. I'm not going to let you go first. I'm going to give Tony first.
Let's start with Montana.
That is correct. Montana is the fourth coldest state in the U.S., 44.5 degrees average temperature. All right, Skraby, that leaves a really obvious one for you. I gave Tony first, but he didn't take it. So you can.
I don't know that these are that obvious to any of us.
All right,
Chris.
Well, I think one is obvious.
Alaska,
I think. I thought Alaska was pretty obvious. 27.8 degrees average temperature in Alaska. 16 degrees colder than any other state. Tony's up.
Washington, the state.
State of Washington is on the list at 48.4. So Tony takes a 2-1 lead. Skraby, give me a cold state.
Maine.
Tony, you're up 2-2.
How about Idaho?
Idaho's pretty cold. Cold enough at 45.5. Seventh coldest in the U.S.
Well, it's my favorite state to say. Minnesota.
Yeah, that was kind of obvious. Same as Idaho. Minnesota, 45.5, Tony.
How about North Dakota?
North Dakota, there you go. You found it, number 2. 43.7 there.
I'll take the lesser-known Dakota. The
South Dakota.
I think it's the more-known Dakota.
Yeah, I would think it's more. Tony, you are up in a 4-4 tie with no strikes yet.
How about Oregon?
Oregon, believe it or not, Oregon's cold enough to make the list. Tony's 5, Skraby's 4.
Never been here, but I knew someone from here and said it's very cold. New Hampshire.
New Hampshire's cold. Tony.
How about Vermont?
Vermont's cold, and it's right next to New Hampshire, so that was good. 46.3. Tony goes up 6-5.
How about Wisconsin?
Wisconsin.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be in there. Just below, Tony, you're up.
We're going to move to Wisconsin's neighbor. How about little Illinois?
Oh.
How about a little Illinois? Little Illinois didn't make it. You can get your first lead of the day here.
A state that I've been to, a state that has beautiful scenery, Wyoming.
That's number 3. Wyoming, 44.3. I can definitely second that.
Laramie is like the
notion, having been there every year to Laramie. It's cold. Tony.
Iowa.
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 That's a great one.
Is it?
Has to be on there.
51.5. Iowa just snuck in there.
I'm going to bank on the part of the state that's not attached to the paw is cold. Michigan.
Michigan is a winner. Very good. The Upper Peninsula you're referring to.
The paw.
How about Utah?
Utah, Salt Lake City and company. Yep,
Park
it's
City.
cold there. 51.2. That is correct. Tony hits it. 8-8. The only difference is Tony's got a strike.
Nueva York.
Nueva York.
New York for Chris.
It does get cold there in New York. 49 degrees average temperature in New York is Tony.
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
What about Ohio?
You ready to come up with an answer, Skraby?
Ohio.
Too hot.
I
Too
know.
hot.
I was thinking that because it's next to Illinois, but I live
Too
there
hot.
and it snowed.
Is that what you want, Ohio?
Yeah.
54.9. It's the last one on there. Skraby goes up 10-9.
How about a little Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
frigid old Pennsylvania.
Frigid old Pennsylvania.
Home of Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg. And cold enough at 52.1 to make the list.
Pennsylvania, baby.
10-10.
Massachusetts?
It has not been said. Doesn't mean it's correct, but it is. 51.2. Scraby hits a bell.
Massachusetts.
11-10. Tony, you're up.
Oh, man, this is hard.
There are 4 left.
Cold. How about Indiana?
Oh.
Indiana. No, Tony. That's a strike. 55.2. Indiana just over by 0.2.
Some of the cold spots in the country are in the plains. Nebraska. Yeah. Lincoln. That's all I got on Nebraska.
Scraby's doing okay. That's correct.
Wow!
52 degrees.
Colorado.
Colorado. Scraby for the win.
One of the most forgotten places in the United States
Is
Rhode Island.
How's your unit today, Tony?
It's working very well.
Scraby, why do you not,
Pull
mark
those things?
Yeah, mark that stuff and embarrass you the way you try to embarrass us all the time.
Because the problem is if we replay that standalone, people really do thinking I'm talking about something else.
Yes, that's the whole
the whole
idea
point.
of that.
I
Yes.
know, but we
literally
can't
the
because
whole
then someone's listening. They're like, "Did he just say that? I'm calling the
No,
FCC."
but there's context. That's not what we actually said.
Yes.
The actual
Right.
thing.
You were
We're not
referring to
talking
something
about.
else.
All right.
but-
Well, someone
All right.
pulled it for us, guys. So
Oh, good.
let me go. Let me go to some of my retweets because
Want to thank our listeners out there. They know it's important stuff.
they
Way
do.
to go.
They
guys.
do, man.
Way
They
to
do.
go.
They're on it when you're trying to wiggle your way out of it.
Yes.
Our listeners are all on top of it.
I actually can't find it, but someone did
Chris-
pulled the thing. Hold on, Tony. I had a really, really nice sack in high school. That's also what people are talking about from yesterday's roundtable.
That's from the round table. What happened to that
Yeah,
sack,
really,
Scraby?
really nice sack in high school.
What happened to that?
I think Wood said, "I bet you did." What's quarterback sack, Chris?
I know
Quarterback
what it
sack.
was. I'm aware.
Oh, yesterday was not a good day
Thanks,
for
Greg.
one-liners.
You sure do know how to put some words together, man. You were special at that.
Yeah.
Chris, where you want to go, man? We could talk a little bit more
Well-
about Jake. We can talk about the NBA playoffs.
I think Jake, and him coming in here and
Yeah.
look, this is a key man. I think he's Iglesias has done a nice job. But here's the funny thing, and we've talked about this. Iglesias, for everything that he is, the one thing that he really isn't is an everyday player at this point in his career. And so when he's an everyday player, I don't think you get the same value out of him. Now, with Jake coming back, I think you're going to see more value out of Iglesias. And I think everybody's kind of right back where they're supposed to be. And,
Yep.
there's no reason that the offense can't kind of, take it up a notch here. So I'm hoping that'll happen.
I agree. I totally agree. I think you put now Jose back into a spot where he's not having to be out there. Remember, Jose is what 36?
Yeah, he's up there. And plus, he's a music star now. He's got other things to concern himself with.
I just think this is where your team gets to kind of maximize everybody's best ability, is because now pieces are back where they should be, and now you can start to roll your lineups out there again. Now you can have your lefty righty line, although it looks a little bit different, as you mentioned. No more Yuli Gurriel to be the on the left-handed pitch day, he to be either first baseman or a DH. You don't have that luxury at this point, and so they're gonna go moving forward with a little more lefty field to their bench.
It's okay,
but also you're moving into May, and so now you're starting to evaluate your team for maybe moves that you can look to add at the break. I don't think that pitcher has come into full clarity yet, but the closer we get to that deadline, the more clear it will be, as it has in the past years, what the Padres should address. And typically they go out and address it.
Yeah, I think they will. To cover two birds with one stone here, I kind of compare Jake returning to what we saw last night in the Golden State, Minnesota basketball game. People looked at that game and said, well, Steph Curry's not playing, but everything else will be okay. No. When Steph Curry doesn't play, then Minnesota's best defensive player, who is McDaniels, can now go guard Jimmy Butler. Whereas before, Jimmy Butler was against somebody much weaker than McDaniels. So by taking Curry out, it makes Minnesota's defense much, much better. It also puts a bunch of Golden State guys on offense in roles that they haven't been in. So there's always a trickle-down effect is the point here.
Right.
Whenever you have a big starter out. And that's, one of the things that happened in the game last night. Butler did not get the kind of game we thought he might, because now he was being defended by the guy that usually has to be worried about Steph Curry. So, you see it in football too, right? When a number one receiver's out, now the number two receiver has to go against the best cornerback, and he's not going to be as open as much. So
yeah, no, it's a great comp. It's a great comp. Having Jake back, I think also defensively, you kind of. I mean, I don't know that you lost much defensively with Iglesias.
I don't know, either. Yeah, he was pretty good over there.
I think he was probably a push, but Padres, Rockies. Padres looking to, basically get all three of these. That's what they were able to do at home. Obviously, every series is a little bit different. You mentioned the matchups. Vasquez today. Who was it?
Kolek.
Who's going for?
Today, Senzatella.
Senzatella.
He has pitched a game or two in his career against the Padres. I've seen that. He's, he and Marquez, who's going to pitch Sunday, despite their horrendous numbers, and believe me, they are horrendous, we've all seen them do enough to be able to keep you down for 5 or 6 innings. So, you're going to have to, focus and get your thing done. Of course, there's no way we're going to repeat what we did in the first series against the Rockies. Are we?
Sweep?
They didn't score.
Oh.
In the whole 3 games.
Right.
They didn't score in any of the games. If they do that at Coors Field, then I think that's it. The Rockies organization has to disband. I mean, if they can't score in a whole weekend series at home.
They have to disband?
Yeah.
They can't participate anymore?
No, that's it. They just forfeit the rest of their games. Either that or Paul Pierce walks 20 more miles somewhere else. I don't know. It's
by the way, he said he's never doing that again.
Yeah, I bet.
He walked 33,000 steps yesterday. It's ridiculous.
Hey, how didn't Denver playing here tonight too?
Nuggets are, yes, good call, Tony. They are home to Oklahoma City. Game 3 tonight. So the Denver faithful will have something else to focus on other than the Rockies.
There's probably going to be nobody at the game tonight if the Nuggets are going to be in town.
And who's ever there is going to have the NBA game on their phone or whatever. So, yes, you won't have a lot of interest. And I think what you've got to do, I look at the Tiger-Rocky series is what I expect in this series. The first game of that series, Tigers went into Denver It went to extra innings. It was a pretty good game. Tigers end up winning. And then the doubleheader yesterday, just blowout. And I think that's what the Padres are going to get. I think they might get the Rockies' best test in one of the games. So, look, the team, there's so many ways to look at how bad they are. They've played 12 series this year. They've lost them all, and they've been swept 6 of the 12.
Jeez.
So, I mean, it's historically bad. All right, for fun, because we're on the subject, I looked this up because this is, again,
of course you did.
Stupid stuff I do.
Of course you did.
Here's how bad they are. The 1899 Cleveland Spiders.
Oh, the Spiders.
Who went 20 and 134.
They fought their
Was
hearts
this old
out.
Ho's team?
This
Was
is
this old Ho's team?
Yeah, it was Old Hose on this
Old
team.
Hose, I think. Leo Sockalexis was on this team, the first Native
I'm
American.
going to look up some Spider stats.
They were the worst record in the history of baseball. But through 37 games that season, they had 8 wins. The Rockies only have 6. So there's one
Yowzers.
comparison you can make to how sad it's
Ooh,
gone.
wow. I'm just looking at some of the Spider stats.
Oh, they weren't good. They were not good.
The leading home run hitter of that year had 2 home runs.
Led the year. Well, the Rockies will beat that.
Led the team with 2 home runs.
Yeah, the Rockies will beat that. Hey, Tony, I'm assuming you'll run into Buddy Black tonight. Just in passing.
Yes.
You guys always want to say hi to each other. What do you
Yes.
got for Bud tonight? Have you thought about it? Like, I would have to think about it ahead of time, honestly.
I'm not bringing up baseball.
You're not going to bring up okay. Yes,
I'm not bringing up
unless he
baseball.
brings it up, right?
Unless he brings it up,
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring it up. I don't
Okay.
think there's nothing. It's not a conversation that can really move forward.
So
unless
you-
we're
well,
in a private area. I guess
You could walk up to him. You could be like, "It's been a tough year, bud."
No, I don't say that. That's what you would say. That's what you would say and get it
That's
off.
definitely not how you start the conversation off.
No, I know.
How's the family? I think you go that route first.
There you go.
And if he wants to take it to baseball, then we take it to baseball. But
Then
it
how
ain't
do you
gonna
feel
be
about
me.
Kyle Freeland throwing the organization under the bus yesterday?
Yeah, no, that's not happening either, brother.
No, that's a good one. I think you're doing what you kind of have to do there. I think one thing you should mention to Bud is that your radio partner Craig says hello.
I definitely will get that in there.
Just to confuse him, because I think the last time he saw me, he still thought it was Craig, but he checked it at the last moment and correctly, called me Chris. So I think he's still kind of in a hesitation mode of exactly what it should be.
I would be.
Yeah. So I think Tony, you got to throw him off a little bit more tonight. Drew Goodman, you'll see him. Drew Goodman's a great guy. Do you and Jesse, at this point walk in and go, man, we're pretty lucky right now. Because we were talking about that on the round table yesterday. We could be doing Rockies round table every week.
Well, listen, we definitely know we're lucky, but let's not get it twisted. It wasn't always like this when Jesse and I were working. So,
Fair enough. Yeah.
We feel like we've been through when it was, bad, especially Jesse. Jesse got in 2012, 13.
Yeah. He had some lean years. Yeah.
So he has some lean ones. So he is just, I don't know that he even spends any time worrying about what Drew and those guys have had to go through because he's already been through it.
Yeah, that's fair point. Fair point. But the weather's good, so we should have a ball game tonight. And hopefully the Padres get another winning streak started. They had a 6-game streak snapped in the Big Apple there.
Yes.
So
remember when we were
it was rolling.
begging for them to win 4 games in a row last year? They've had 2 6-game win streaks this year.
That was a time.
We have a good team this
we got to
year.
get to break. On the other side, not sure what's happening.
Well,
we're
supposed to be having Jeremiah Estrada, but he's in a meeting, so we don't know when he's going to get out of the meeting. But as soon as he's out of the meeting, we're going to be talking with him.
Well, Skraby wanted to finish whatever I was going to say, so there
sorry.
it is. We'll get to break on the other side.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Talking to Joey Votto here on 97.3 The Fan.
I actually got in trouble once when I worked at the bank for looking up a celebrity, and it was totally wrong on my part. Totally wrong.
Looking up their account number?
Just I searched her name in the account system, And
Skraby, what is wrong with you?
I was like 19.
You'd be better off.
Cool.
You would be better. You'd be better off admitting that you wore your underwear inside out. Frankly,
This guy is just searching up people's accounts.
it only happened that one time because I got caught.
oh,
How did
my
you get caught?
Goodness.
The account was flagged, and anybody taking a look at it gets logged. And so I got called into the boss's office like 3 days
What
later.
did that come? I'm sorry, I gotta ask, but nobody's supposed to be doing this preview. What did that conversation? How did it go?
Well,
Like,
Why were you looking up Paris Hilton? Is that who it was?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh my!
I can neither
goodness.
confirm. That's really funny, Chris, that you just yelled out that name out of all names.
No.
But I walked in, I got called into the office, and I
Oh
sat
my
down,
gosh.
and all my boss, I loved her. She was great. Her name was Sharon. Amazing boss. She just slid the piece of paper in front of me,
you knew
said,
what time
"Did you
it was.
visit this account?" And I looked. Yeah. She was like, "We're going to have to write you up for this. And if you do it again, we're going to have to fire you." And I said, "I'll never do it again." And I got out of there as soon as possible. I
Damn.
took everything, but it was not good. Not good.
Just curiosity, huh? He's like, I wonder how much they have in their account.
Yeah. I mean, before I got caught, I did look up athletes. And,
Oh my god! I'm so glad you're sitting in this seat now. Instead of this.
Yes, I'm so happy you're not
Freaking
doing any
bank.
job that can be dangerous to people's futures.
this was in the first year that I was there. I learned my lesson
As
thoroughly.
Chris, as I said, soon as they walked in, there was like,
Yeah.
that's
That
our
window.
guy right there.
That's our window.
We're gonna take
Yeah.
him down.
Yep.
Just lucky I didn't get caught for like. I can't even say. I'll tell you guys off break whose account I saw
He's
and how
diabolical.
much money they had sitting in their checking account.
And this was how long ago, too, by the way?
Ooh, 2009, 10. Way before I became a good person.
Didn't Bank America get in trouble, or was that it was one of those banks got in trouble?
all of them get in trouble
Yeah.
for selling information, but
I heard folks like you.
I wasn't selling any information. I was just wanting to see what was going
Just
on.
curious.
I didn't check their account activity,
You
which I
just
could
check-
have been like, oh, they bought this here. I'm going to go up there. You know, I'm not that creepy.
well, that's stock.
Oh yeah, you're not that bad.
I'm not that creepy.
This is amazing, by the way. We're supposed to be doing.
How are we supposed to do baseball picks under
I
these
don't think we can
circumstances?
anymore. I think we gotta push it. You guys never did it. Well, I mean,
No, Skraby, we didn't. We didn't do it.
Really?
okay.
Like you work at a bank, you're looking at people's account information? That's unbelievable.
It only happened for a little bit, and then I got in
Only
trouble.
for a little bit.
I can't stop laughing at this because it is quite hilarious, Skraby.
But you were saying that I may have gotten robbed or whatever. I actually did get robbed when I worked in San Francisco, and they're called quick change artists.
how long did you work in the banking industry?
8 years. I was a teller supervisor when I finished. I was also the merchant teller, which took in around $150,000 in cash a day. Guess what? Always balanced at the end of the day.
Yeah, I bet.
But there was a guy who walked in. He had about $5,000 in hundreds, and he handed it to me. He said, "Can I get 50s for these?" And I said, you know, it's pretty annoying that he wants
$5,000 in hundreds.
in hundreds, and he wanted $5,000 in 50s. He just wanted 50s instead of hundreds. So I had to go get it from the vault. I come back. I'm starting to count it out, and then he's like starting to ask me questions as I'm counting it
He's
out.
trying to mess.
And
I-
then
What did I tell you, Chris? This is what I'm talking
Hey,
about.
That window right there.
hey, this guy was so good that no one saw it coming. But so when I started getting mad at him because I counted out the 50s, he goes, "What are you doing?" I asked for 20s. And I'm like, what?
He tried
You
to
did not
play
ask
you.
for 20s. You asked for 50s, bro.
Yeah.
I had to go to the vault to get those 50s. And as I was getting all mad and talking to my boss, he took the cash off the counter and put it into this folder that he had on the thing that.
The original 5,000 in hundreds.
Yeah, well, he kept going like that, and then I was so mad, I just grabbed it and I.
Got to get on the bus in Denver. The bus leaves, I think, for the ballpark in about 15 minutes. But as a broadcaster, I can tell you that the broadcasters don't have right up until the final minute to get on the bus. Like nobody wants to be sitting there waiting for the last person and it to be one of the broadcasters. So if the bus leaves at like quarter of, your bus leaves at 25 of.
Oh, I can guarantee you I'd be on that bus a half hour early.
Yeah, that's pretty much how that works. So Tony's getting on the bus. They're heading on over. We have a Big Five later that he is part of. And we also have a Jeremiah Estrada interview, but we don't know when. They're in a meeting at the moment and in Denver. And they're probably looking at the Rockies lineup, and they're trying to stifle a laugh in that pitcher's meeting.
I don't think. See,
no,
that
I don't
makes
think
me
they're
nervous.
I know they're not
That
doing
makes me
that.
nervous.
I'm joking. They're not doing that
because they have lost to some pretty bad Rocky teams.
Never this bad. Again, I'm only at the tip of the iceberg in terms of describing just how bad the Rockies are. I have more ammunition if you want it. Jake Cronenworth does return tonight, and we mentioned 1062 is his career OPS at Coors Field. So pretty good time for Jake to get back in there. How long exactly has he been out? Skraby, he plays
since the Monday night game against the A's.
Monday night against the A's. That was April 8th. So 1 month exactly, or 1 month and 1 day.
And he tried to play through a broken rib.
He did. He actually got hit in the ribs on April 6th, which was a Sunday.
Yes.
So he played a full game on that Monday.
Oh, it was a Tuesday game then. Or was it a Monday
No,
game?
here's what happened.
Sorry.
Because I'm looking at it. He got hit in the game on Sunday in Chicago. Monday in Oakland, he hit a 2-run homer.
I do remember that.
Tuesday, we found out that he had a broken rib and he came out of the lineup, which means the home run he hit
it with a broken
rib. So, if you don't think Jake's tough, I think that'll answer that. So he's been in 12 games is all this year, and they missed him for the last 26 games. So
it's crazy. It still makes me angry that the Cubs have just been dealing with nothing but healthy people because they took out Jake Cronenworth for a month.
Cubs have dealt with a healthy lineup this year. Dodgers had until recently. It can change.
It can.
It's a long season. It only takes one, slip up from an Emilio Pagan fastball against the Cubs to knock Kyle Tucker down for a month. You never know. You never know how it's going to go. Jake is hitting 257 this year. The OPS, though, and it's 12 games, but the OPS is 895.
Oof.
This, for Jake, is 180 points higher than last year. So he was trending in the right direction because a lot of people said, Jake Cronenworth's another guy. Gave him the big contract. Maybe we didn't do the right thing. He hasn't, been the same player. Seemed like Jake was starting to kind of be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully he'll pick up right where he left off. Here's what he had to say a little earlier.
I think excited to be back and, more or less just ready to pick up right from where I left off.
Yeah. As far as how the team's been doing, you guys missing Jason, missing Jackson. You guys have done a pretty nice job of being able to keep the damage to them. How good do you feel to be back and have all the horses back?
No, that's great. I think we're a bunch of guys out for a little bit and have everybody back together and get going again like we did at the beginning of the year. It'll be great, and they're doing well on this road trip. So, yeah.
Special guest appearance there by our friend Bob Scanlon.
Yes,
very good, Bob.
Mr. Scam Man.
All right, so Jake's return does set up, to me, a little bit of a quandary. And we'll start finding out tonight what they're going to do about it. When you we won't. They're not facing a left-handed pitcher. So never mind. We'll find out the next time they face a left-handed pitcher, though. Right now, against a righty, pretty simple, right? You're going to go Arise at first, Jake's at second. You got Xander, you got Manny, you're going to have Hayward in left, and then Jackson and Tatis, and you'll, figure out which catcher you want to play, and then Sheets will be your DH. Pretty simple. But when you face a lefty, to me, this is where I think you have a hole here. And, can they survive it? Sure. There's, you don't face a ton of lefties. I'd like to see, now they just faced, I think, 3 of them in short order here recently. Yankees pitched 2 lefties in that series. Rodon,
Fried.
and then in Pittsburgh they saw Heaney and Falter.
Yes,
2 lefties. So I'm trying to look. Let's look ahead here.
Okay.
See if I see any lefties on the horizon. I don't. Not for a while.
That's good.
Okay. But when you face a lefty, again, you can have Arise at first. You can have Jake at second, but now you have lefty against lefties. You got Bogey and Machado. Left field, I think you're going to put Lockridge against a lefty.
B-Lock. I like him.
You know what? He's growing on me.
I think he's a lot better than we're giving him credit for.
Well, he's been really good defensively, and if he gets on base, he is a stolen base.
Yes.
I mean, that's a nice
machine.
luxury to have. You're going to obviously have another lefty against lefty with Jackson in center and Fernando in right. But who's your DH? You don't have one. The only one you might be able to use is Iglesias as your right-handed hitting DH, or you continue to go with Gavin Sheets lefty on lefty. So, I see just a little gap there. I said hole earlier. I think gap is a better term for it.
Yeah, the Gavin Sheets thing, is he one – because he's not one of those guys where you can look at his proven track record and say he'll get back on track or he'll hit lefties, but is he one of those guys where you just let him –
we haven't seen enough.
This is the buzz phrase for me, let him swing through it.
Well, we haven't seen enough of him from a left side against lefties. And that's what I'm going to need to see more of. And maybe they want to see more of it. I take it back. They do face a lefty on the game we're going to, you and I, Monday night. Kikuchi, the lefty starter for the Angels, Monday night. So we'll find out what they're planning to do against lefties when we get back home on Monday night.
Scrabinator night.
Yeah,
I'm hoping it goes on the board.
I was going to just say, you're calling it Scrabinator night. I don't know that the Padres are going to refer to it as such, but,
I mean, we all really know what the big deal is here.
Give it your best shot.
And by the way, if you signed up and you have not replied to an email from me, please check your email inbox because it might be in there. I'm looking for at least 8 more people to confirm. And
that have actually won passes to the game but haven't said it, haven't responded yet.
And when I sent out the email trying to confirm everyone, I said that by noon on Saturday, if I do not hear from you, I will start looking for other Scrabinators to go. So if you signed up and you are not aware if you have won, check your email for an email from Matt Skraby.
That would get you in next Monday night. We're all going to be there. Here's the biggest game in sports tonight. And it's not the Padre Rocky game. For us, it is. But for everybody else, it's the Celtics and the Knicks. I mean, they got game 3 in New York tonight. Tickets are going for like $6,000.
It's ridiculous.
People in New York are off the chain.
Yes.
Because the Knicks won the first 2 games in Boston. And here come the defending champs into game 3. And the question is Jason Tatum going to respond to an absolutely horrible first 2 games in this series? He's shooting 29%. He's shooting 25% from 3, yet he keeps chucking them up there. He's only got to the free throw line 5 times in 2 games, and he has 8 turnovers in the 2 games. So he's been awful. Jaylen Brown hasn't been a whole lot better, shooting a combined 2 for 19 in the fourth quarter of the first 2 games. And as a result, the Knicks became the first team in NBA history in the playoffs to erase a 20-point deficit in back-to-back games. So, I'd love to see the Knicks knock them out again tonight. Hard to believe that the Celtics are going to go down 3-0, but it'll be something worth keeping an eye on. The Celtics, can they either start hitting their threes again, or is there anything else they can go to if they're not falling? That's the thing that has really, I've noticed for them.
Well, if Joe Mazzulla is any sort of smart
he's
guy,
a genius,
like he says he is, he's going to figure this one out.
Doesn't everybody in the NBA and who watches the NBA and it barely watches the NBA just want him to get swept so that he has to just take it on the chin one time?
I think so.
Yeah,
just because he's
so arrogant.
He self-proclaims how smart he is.
Yeah, he thinks he's a genius.
I did see a lot of articles on Jason Tatum today, and it was all about and this happens all the time in sports, and I'm guilty of it too, but people forget that he just was amazing last year in the NBA Finals. but they're acting like this is a career-defining moment. I don't think it's a career-defining moment.
No. Yeah, I mean, he was not MVP of that series last year, but Brown was. But,
that's right.
But Tatum has been, incredible for the Celtics.
Yes.
The first hint that we all had that Jason Tatum maybe isn't all that is when Steve Kerr hardly played him at all in the Olympics. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Sat him.
I do remember that.
He couldn't get into the game. And, I think what Steve Kerr was saying was, yeah, you're an unbelievable three-point shooter and a one-on-one player, but we don't want a one-on-one player.
The game's tomorrow.
Oh, the Knicks Celtics is tomorrow?
12:30, yes.
Oh, my bad.
Tonight is Cleveland, Indiana, OKC, Denver.
Yes, all right. Thank you for whoever corrected me. Well, it's all right. It's still fun to talk about. The Denver game is tonight, and Oklahoma City is coming off a record-setting performance in Game 2. First team ever in NBA playoff history to score 87 points in the first half. Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
87 points OKC got in Game 1. We'll see if Denver can respond tonight. And, yes, thank you for the correction. It is Cleveland that is going on the road tonight, trying to get back in the series against Indiana.
Thanks to our guy Romeo in the
chat.
chat.
Thanks, Romeo. That was a simple one, and it does happen sometimes.
Where's Juliet? That was a good one. Come on.
Unfortunately, we have to put up with this stuff, and I'm sure Romeo's never heard that one.
No, he's probably never heard it in his entire life.
Probably a brand new little sneaky line by you.
I have a friend named Felicia, and bye Felicia is like the thing that everybody says. And I'm like, how many times have you heard that in your life? She's 100 million. I've probably heard it 100 million. All right.
What was that from? Because I don't remember.
I think it was from Friday. The movie,
okay,
with Ice Cube and
yes.
Our guy said that Estrada is out of the meeting, so they're going to call as soon as they can.
Could be any moment now. One thing I want to ask him about. No, I won't. But will the Padres risk it this weekend and wear the brown uniforms?
Ooh,
talked about it yesterday. They have worn the gray pinstripes in 8 consecutive road games. It's been a long time. Got to go back to April 21st in Detroit, the last time they wore their brown uniforms. They lost that game 6-4. Vasquez has twice been the pitcher this year when they've chosen brown. And remember, the starting pitcher is the guy that chooses. But Vasquez lost both those games. So I would highly anticipate the Padres to be in the pinstripes tonight. All right, we are having our Friar Friday guest, and we're really excited to have him on. Jeremiah Estrada has been incredible out of the Padre bullpen. We appreciate him joining us from Denver after the meeting. How was the meeting today, Jeremiah? Good times, pizza, party, the whole thing, or what?
No pizza, no party.
No pizza. They didn't bring. It wasn't. I thought it wasn't your day to bring the pizza to the big meeting.
No. Yeah. A lot of kicking back. But thank y'all for having me.
Of course. Tell us what happens in one of those meetings, or as much as you can. A meeting that you guys all have as a staff before a series like that.
Yeah, as in a pitchers meeting?
Yeah.
Not much. As much of the planning that we talked about the other team, kind of like as a team planning, and then of course throughout the game they have the individual planning that they have for us to kind of just what our stuff works best with each hitter or whoever we face during that one inning, or just whatever happens.
Talking to Jeremiah Estrada here, Padres relieving pitcher on 97.3 The Fan. And Jeremiah, I have to ask you about the pitch that is taking baseball by storm, and it's called the chitter, a changeup splitter. And your grip of it is going around social media right now. Chris and I looked at it earlier. It looks like it's a very difficult pitch to throw, but I just am looking for the backstory on that. How did you come to that pitch?
Well, that's funny. It's going around social media.
Oh yeah,
I've
it
seen
is
it every now and then, but
yeah.
No. So we, it was during the kind of the Cubs 2020 or 2023 year, was kind of struggling with throughout that season when the Cubs staff wanted me to learn a splitter. They had told me to get rid of my changeup that I felt helped me get drafted. And they told me to get rid of it because I was striking out more guys with the fastball sliders. So I listened, as any other minor leaguer would listen to any big league coach to just spend time in the big leagues. But once I got up there, things were going well, and then all of a sudden they were just like, "Hey, let's teach you kind of like a splitter to a fork ball." And I told them, I was like, "I got a change up, but you know, like you guys tell me to stop, but you know what? I'm gonna keep throwing it, you know, or I'll try to throw it because I want to be a big leaguer." It went nowhere. It was hurting my arm and it just was not working. And then I started kind of performing bad after that, with just kind of just like elbow inflammation and just forearm inflammation. And within a week, I couldn't figure it out, and they optioned me.
Oh man!
And told me to go figure it out in AAA. So as that happened, just did not work out whatsoever. Took about a month, couldn't figure it out. Things were just kind of going bad, and then we had that All-Star break, and things were just kind of just like not a light at the tunnel at that point. But when it got to that point, it was where they were trying to option me to AA, and I was like, no, I need to figure myself out. Like, I'm sorry to tell you guys no, but I gotta figure me out. Like, I've done a lot of what you guys have told me, and as an athlete, no one's gonna know anything better on how that guy's gonna feel than himself. Only you are gonna know what feels good within what you're doing. So I told them, can you guys just give me a break, like let me do my thing? And then they were asking me what I wanted to do, and I told them, can you guys just send me to Arizona so I could figure myself out? And they didn't like that, and they did. And as soon as that happened, they told me, like, hey, here you go, give yourself a couple of weeks. You don't have to show up to the facility. Like, you know, take your time. You know, it's been a long year. You know, we know you're struggling. I'm like, no, I'll be there tomorrow to get to work.
Yeah, there you go.
And within that time, I've just been trying to figure out another off-speed pitch.
Yeah.
So like a change-up or a splitter, and change-up didn't work. Their splitter didn't work. And then one day I was just like, you know, let me try to stick it between the ring finger and the middle finger, kind of like a Vulcan. And then I tried the Vulcan, it didn't work. And then I kind of just like mixed in my old change-up within kind of like the splitter way, because they had showed me a grip-wise on how to throw that splitter, and I was like, you know, why don't I do this, but like kind of make it look like a circle change, but with both of my fingers on the left circled, and then the ring finger and my pinky will stay on top, if you guys know what I mean.
Yeah. We've seen the pictures.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I was just throwing it in my living room or in my hotel room at the time, figuring it out and throwing it up at the roof like any other baseball player does with the baseball, laying on the bed. And
wow.
I showed up to the field next day, and I was like, hey, can I try this out? And they're like, what the heck is that? How are you going to throw that? And I was like, I don't know, but we're going to see. It feels good in the hand, because as a pitcher, all you care about is feel. It's nothing about other than feel.
Yeah.
And I threw a bullpen with it, and I was able to locate, and the movement was good, and everything just started working. They're like, okay, let's kind of do this more. And then voila.
Jeremiah Estrada, that's an amazing story. That's not only amazing story, but you gave yourself great advice along the way, which is to say, hey, look, I know myself, and I'm going to figure this out, and you know, no one is going to tell me otherwise. And man, it has really worked for you here in San Diego. You know, second year with the Padres, 119 strikeouts in 79 innings, including last year when you struck out 13 batters in a row, with a major league record. And I got to tell you, the ninth inning of that game, I mean, I don't know if you think about it as much as I did, but the electricity in the ballpark that night when you came into the game last year, the fans knew that you were going for a record, and I have a feeling you kind of sensed it as well last year. Take us back.
I'm not going to lie. When that has happened, it's like, to me, like, I know that fans pay attention and all, but like, to me, I knew that to the team and to the people that I know or that know me, like, personally, knew what was an opportunity of happening.
Right.
And when I went out there, I was just like, you know, you kind of forget that fans actually know what's going on too, you know, but like,
yeah,
it was pretty cool. You know, it was kind of, unfortunately, it's baseball, and as a job, as a reliever, you know, it was so short to kind of like, to embrace and to kind of just understand like what you just did or what I had just did. But like, because you know that, you know what, you go home, celebrate, guess what, you go to bed, you wake up, we got to try to do it again.
That's for sure.
Next day. So there wasn't like a day where, as a starter, you get to have the rest of the day, you get to do whatever you want, you know, you're on your own. But I got to try to do the same thing the next day and try to just put up a 0 on the board, And the only celebration I had at that moment was I just went to In-N-Out with my girlfriend.
Hey, that works. In-N-Out was great.
It's a celebration.
Celebration.
I've a celebration I've used often.
So what did you order?
As usual, a double, some fries, and I always have like a dozen of those yellow peppers on the side with an Arnold Palmer.
Oh wow, okay. It's kind of like a secret menu thing. The Arnold, or not the Arnold Palmer, but those peppers. I haven't ever seen the peppers.
He has an In-N-Out burger, Estrada style.
Well, yeah, they always have like the yellow peppers on the side that you can kind of just eat on your own.
I need to look for
Sometimes you can ask people to kind of dice them or chop them up and put them in the burger, but I'm Mexican, so I like the jalapenos whole.
Okay.
Spicy really don't faze me that much, but yeah, my girlfriend don't like it though. But usually every bite that I take with that burger, I take a whole bite of the jalapeno.
I love that. We're talking to Jeremiah Estrada here, Padres reliever. Great to have you on the show. And last one from me, you're an inspiration to me because you've been through a lot in your career, and the word perseverance comes to me when I think about you. So tell everyone out there, when you have down days or when you were having those down days, how did you get yourself to keep getting up and keep moving forward and keep trying? Because I know that that's not easy and you've done it. And that's something that I think people like to hear about.
Yeah, man. Well, I feel like at any point, I remember seeing this saying too, that stars don't shine unless they're in the dark, and at any point that you see yourself like kind of going through a bad thing, you got to find yourself in that darkness and you got to put yourself into that times. And at some point you'll find these little things that are kind of like a little light, and all you need is just one little spark. It's kind of like those movies that have like that little, like you know what I'm saying? Like a little cave, and then all of a sudden a rock falls, and all of a sudden you see like a little light in between the rocks, which means you're close to the surface.
A little light pokes through. Yes.
You're looking for the light.
Yeah.
Okay.
So kind of like that, during that time, it was like walks and hits, and to a point where you're going to remind yourself, like, dude, I don't have what it takes anymore to be a professional baseball player. But that could come across a lot. But as for me, I kind of just like the way I grew up. So I'm very competitive, and I love to compete with other people. But I think the biggest competition that I kind of admire the most and that I believe is the hardest is to compete with yourself. And that competitiveness that I have with myself was like, oh man, this ain't working. And with more explicit words that I would call myself, I would tell myself to stop being a little bit of a, you guys know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But in a way of just that, you learn to just fight for it. And I told myself, like, okay, you know what? Like, you could be scared that whatever you do, that you feel like it's going to be helpful for you, can make other people upset. But at the end of the day, everyone wants to do what makes themselves happy. And if it makes yourself happy, but yet alone it's going to have to make some other people mad, you're going to have to take that sacrifice because if it's going to help you out. And when you take that sacrifice and hey, look, it got me DFA'd.
Okay.
And next thing you know, Audrey's picked me up and dreams come true.
I love
words of wisdom.
I got chills, honestly.
Very good words of wisdom from Jeremiah Estrada. We appreciate you dropping all that stuff on us, Jeremiah. I think it's inspirational, not only to you, Matt, but to everybody listening. For those who don't know, Jeremiah is an Aztec for life. Not San Diego State, but Palm Desert, the Aztecs. He's an Aztec. So, hey, we love watching you, Jeremiah. Continued great success. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you guys for having me. I absolutely appreciate it, and let's continue going.
Keep it going.
Absolutely.
Indeed, for sure. Jeremiah Estrada doing a great job there from Denver, and he's our Friar Friday interview today. Very, very inspirational, man. If you took a moment to listen to some of those things he was saying, because there are things that can apply to all of us in all walks of life. And, Jeremiah seems like a guy that has it together pretty well.
He does.
And a lot of it probably has to do with what you said, Skraby. He's been through the down times.
Yeah.
So he knows, he was able to appreciate, getting to where he is right now. And he also knows he's got to keep working his butt off because he doesn't want to ever, he wants to keep doing this.
Yeah, I knew that about Jeremiah Estrada. He's been really sick in his life too. Like he got really sick and couldn't pitch for a while. So he's been through a lot. And to keep the focus on going forward is such a hard thing to do, especially as someone who's a professional baseball player, like that's amazing to me.
He's been a pretty good find for the Padres.
He sure has.
Slightly. All right, there's our first hour. More Gwynn and Chris ahead. Big Five a little later. Tony will return. And also, we're going to do a little celebrating of Tony Gwynn Sr.'s heavenly birthday later in the program. Stick around.
And now, the challenger, representing the San Diego Padres, number 20, Kyle Higashioka. He ends the round with 7 home runs. And he has earned a trip to the semifinal matchup. Now the challenger in this semifinal matchup, number 20, Kyle Higashioka. No doubt about that one. That one carried on to Lansdowne. That one is gone. He now has bonus time. Just 1 minute remaining. No question about that one. And he has passed it up to put up in the championship matchup. And that ends the round. Finishes. Let's see what he can do. And now, the challenger in this championship round, Kyle Higashioka. That one carried on to Lansdowne. That one is gone. And he's earned 30 seconds of bonus time. Just 1 minute remaining. That draw off the right pole. There's a home run. Seconds left. And now, the challenger, representing the San Diego Padres, number 20, Kyle Higashioka. Just 1 minute remaining. For Arizona. Out of here. That one up into the monster seat. Another home run. And that ends the round. He ends the round with 7 home runs. And he has earned a trip to the semifinal.
Finally, a Friday. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr.'s in Denver. He's on the bus right now. Padres heading on over to Coors Field, where they've decided to show up tonight. Play the Colorado Rockies, game 1 of a 3-game series. Jake Cronenworth will be on that bus. He is back in the Padres lineup, returning after basically a 1-month absence. Last time he played was April the 9th, or April the 8th. So, yeah, 1 month, 1 day for Jake. He returns tonight. Oscar Gonzalez was sent out to the minor leagues. And the Padre lineup, or roster now, 14 position players. It's almost the exact same now as it was opening day. The only difference is you got Tyler Wade in and Yuli Gurriel out.
Yeah, they can't option Tyler Wade anymore. It's just not possible.
I wouldn't think so.
In my mind.
Not the way he's played. I couldn't agree with you more, Skraby. You've got to keep Tyler Wade going right now. He has played well. The Padre lineup is indeed out, Skraby. If you want to hit the cue.
Yes, please.
Please do. It'll be Fernando in right field leading off. It'll be Luis Arraez, Manny Machado, Jackson Merrill, Xander Bogaerts. So that's pretty recognizable. And Jake Cronenworth back in there, batting 6th tonight at second base. Gavin Sheets, Jason Hayward. Martin Maldonado gets the start tonight with Randy Vasquez on the mound. Against the Rocks, your old high school friend, Mickey Moniak, will be in the lineup tonight for Colorado.
Yeah. LCC just pumping out #1 overall picks left and right. I think he's the only one.
I'm sure he's the only one, but it's still pretty impressive. There's not many high schools who can say it.
No. Our high school, when I was going there, was very, very good. And
yeah, good baseball program for sure. So
Machado, I'm forgetting his first name. Justin Machado was the coach when I was there.
Right.
Anyway,
Padres Rockies coming up. 5:40 is the first pitch. That means Sammy Levitt is about 90 minutes away with the pregame show. Mentioned, a couple of things before we get to the Daily Gambit. Your guy, Charlie Woods.
Oh, yeah.
Tried to qualify for the U.S. Open. Came up short. Shot a 3 over 75 today.
How old is this kid? He's like 14, right?
He's 16 now. He's getting up there.
Yeah, still a 7. I don't think people understand how impressive this is. This is a USGA golf course. This is set up for adults and professionals.
This is set up for failure.
It really is. It's trying to weed you out if you're not a good golfer.
Well, he shot 81 at the play-in last year. So he missed it by a lot more last year than he did this year. So he's getting better. Although I will say at 16, Tiger Woods was already like winning the Masters, wasn't he? Not quite, but you know what I'm saying.
He was doing.
Tiger
great
was
things.
so incredible. Like at the age of 9, he was incredible, and was never not incredible. But yeah, his son sounds like he's working his way up there, and I wouldn't think it'll be too long before he'll be in the U.S. Open.
I'm very happy that we're not like comparing him to his dad, because no one can be his dad.
I know, but everyone is going to always kind of do it.
Of course they are.
Yeah,
but I don't see the snarky comments about Charlie Woods,
not
out
yet.
there. Not true.
Not yet. Just give it time. All right, so that's there's really isn't a lot of big news items. There's one note from the Cavalier Pacers game tonight, game 3. Cavaliers last game played without 3 starters. They've all practiced now. They're being kind of quiet, as teams are, as to whether these guys are on a play, Garland, Mobley, etc. But they're thinking that they'll be back in there tonight for Cleveland. So We'll keep an eye on that. But right now, let's go to the Daily Gambit, where I was perfect last night. So I'm looking forward to this.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in the Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. Last night, we made 4 bets, and the first bet that we made was the Minnesota Timberwolves minus 10.5 over the Warriors. I don't remember what you said, Chris, but I know that Tony and I said the Warriors.
I went with the Wolves because the Curry.
The Curry effect?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they won 117-93, so not even close with the spread there. Now, we also did a bet who scored more, Ant-Man or Jimmy Butler. Ant-Man minus 4. He had 20 points, minus 4 is 16. Jimmy Butler had 17 points, so he wins. We all went with Jimmy Butler.
Funny how that works out sometimes.
Did Anthony Edwards leave the game last night?
He did. He got hurt, but, willed his way back into the game. There is some question, though, for game 3, because those injury, I remember exactly what it was he hurt. So he says he's going to be okay for game 3.
Okay.
But that would make it more fair.
That would.
Right? If he had to sit out the next few games.
Star for star?
Yeah, right.
Then we did a bet on the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Dodgers minus 1.5. Chris and Tony went D-backs. Of course I went Dodgers.
What are you doing?
I don't know. And they lost, which is a good thing, but I lost the bet. Arizona wins 5-3. And then it was for the game, total number of runs, over, under 9. We all said under, and we all came in correct on that one.
4-0 for me. Yeah. That's all we care about.
Good job.
All right, we don't have much time
for
our
who's heating up,
picks
though?
right now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani's heating up.
He homered last night. He's got 11 homers and 10 steals. So, it's almost impossible for him not to. He's that good.
He is very good.
So, that's just the way it's going. It's kind of like rooting against Paul Skeens. You can do it, but you're going to have a lot of disappointment.
Yeah.
These guys are really just that good. So, all right, we'll do a couple of picks when we come back. We got to take a quick break here. And then I got a couple of other numbers for you. Tonight's Rockies-Padres game. Don't go anywhere. Traffic
will be at the end.
Good.
All right.
This Military Appreciation Month for
What are we doing, guys?
I'm going to see the museum for the first time ever. It's going to be sweet. See my dad's plaque. See where Trevor's plaque is going to be. It's going to be pretty dope.
Chris,
I'm going to go to the Hall of Fame for the second time because I went earlier today, but I'm going in to see Tony go into the Hall of Fame. So all the way straight and back left.
Straight back left.
Straight on that back wall.
This one?
Yeah.
How you feeling, Tony?
I don't know how I'm feeling right now, honestly.
Excited?
I'm definitely excited. Hello, Eric. How you doing? You good?
Wow. Just like I told you, next to the famous Barney Dreyfus and Leslie Wilkinson, whoever they are.
That does look like them.
I know. It's a good shot. They don't do them all that great. That one's good. Really good.
I missed a year. 300. Must have been bad. Huh? I used to be. Not anymore, though.
Oh, it's so cool. What team did you play on?
I can give you a long list of them. Brewers, Padres, Dodgers, Phillies National.
What position did you play?
I played outfield. This was my dad. Oh, there's Dick Williams, Goose. I think he'd be pretty happy with his company over here. So.
What are you thinking of seeing it for the first time?
I'm thinking
I'm hot. I'm quite warm right now, but it's cool. I mean, it's what I thought it was gonna be. I mean, not too many people can say they have a dad that's enshrined in this place. So I think this is awesome.
What are we doing, guys?
I'm going to see the museum for the first time ever. It's gonna be sweet. See my dad's plaque. See where Trevor's plaque is going to be. It's gonna be pretty dope.
Chris, I'm going to go to the Hall of Fame for the second time because I went earlier today, but I'm going in to see Tony go into the Hall of Fame. So all the way straight and back left.
Straight back left.
Straight on that back wall.
This one?
Yeah.
How you feeling, Tony?
I don't know how I'm feeling right now, honestly.
Excited?
I'm definitely excited. Hello, Eric. How you doing? Pretty good.
Wow. Just like I told you, next to the famous Barney Dreyfus and Leslie Wilkinson, whoever they are.
That does look like them.
I know. It's a good shot. They don't do them all that great. That one's good. Really good.
I missed a year. 300. Must have been bad. Huh? I used to be. Not anymore, though.
Oh, it's so cool. What team did you play on?
I can give you a long list of them. Brewers, Padres, Dodgers, Phillies National.
What position did you play?
I played outfield. This was my dad. Oh, there's Dick Williams, Goose. I think he'd be pretty happy with his company over here. So.
What are you thinking of seeing it for the first time?
I'm thinking
I'm hot. I'm quite warm right now, but it's cool. I mean, it's what I thought it was gonna be. I mean, not too many people can say they have a dad that's enshrined in this place. So I think this is awesome.
What are we doing, guys?
I'm going to see the museum for the first time ever. It's going to be sweet. See my dad's plaque. See where Trevor's plaque is going to be. It's going to be pretty dope.
Chris, I'm going to go to the Hall of Fame for the second time because I went earlier today, but I'm going in to see Tony go into the Hall of Fame. So.
Hi, Chris Edelman, Matt Skraby, together in our Odyssey Palace studios. Tony Gwynn Jr. returning for a Big Five, which comes up at the bottom of this hour. Time to look ahead, make some picks, Daily Gambit style here for the weekend. And Skraby, you were 2-2 last night, as I said earlier, and I don't mind repeating. I was a surprising 4-0. Of course, I didn't really back that up with anything.
I was going to say.
All right, here's what we have. And I'm going to tell you this ahead of time, then we'll go to the individual games. All four teams that are on the road now in the NBA playoffs for the games tonight and tomorrow are favored over the home teams. So we'll see if this all works out. Cleveland is 5-point favorite tonight at Indiana. Pacers won game 1 and stole game 2. Cavaliers thought they had it, but without 3 starters, they could not hang on in game 2. Cleveland won over 60 ball games this year. Can they keep it alive.
This is the problem with winning a lot of games in the regular season.
What do you
You
mean?
wear yourself out.
Oh, you think
That's what they said during the Warriors. So what was it, 73
when
and
they won
9 season?
73? Maybe you could say that. I think
They were playing deep into the regular season for that record, and they didn't need to.
Well, that could be that. It was the excuse that was given. But the year the Bulls won 72, they won it all. So I'm just saying it's possible. Anyway, do you like Indy to go
come up with an excuse?
I know. Do you want Indiana 3-0, or do you think Cleveland wins, and if so, by 5?
I'm going to be honest with you, Chris.
Please.
I do not care about the result of this game.
Okay.
I don't like either of those teams.
Right.
I am not a fan of the Pacers, especially.
But
for some reason.
for
no,
our,
I know what you're
for
doing.
our purposes, you are just addicted to
Gambling, which
Gambling.
is true. So Pacers -5.
No, Cleveland -5.
Gosh dang it! I think Cleveland wins.
Cleveland. It's hard to believe Cleveland loses tonight, but I'll take Indiana plus the 5. I think it's gonna be a close game. OKC -6 at Denver. I definitely like Denver here, plus the points at home. Even though OKC won the last game by 70 points or whatever it was. I don't think Jokic will have that happen again tonight. Plus, they'll be getting support from the Coors Field crowd that'll be watching the game on its phones during the Padre game.
Oh, they'll love that support.
Yeah.
I'm going to go OKC.
OKC to win comfortably. Which game has more points tonight?
OKC and Denver.
Okay.
What do you think?
It would seem like OKC and Denver. They seem like high-scoring teams. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you.
All right.
Say OKC and Denver. Tomorrow, Boston -5.5 at the Knicks. Celtics up against it. I hate to pick the Celtics, but I'm going to. I think they're going to have at least one game where the threes rain in. And it'll be tomorrow. Knicks or Celtics? Knicks get 5.5
I was
at home.
just thinking, I think the Knicks win this.
I hope you're right. Believe me. Minnesota tomorrow, -5 at Golden State. Series is tied at 1. Can the Warriors hang in without Steph Curry? Talking about Draymond Green, by the way, in the Big 5.
Yes, we are.
He's upset today.
He is. No. I'm going to go T-Wolves.
I got to go Minnesota, too. I did not see anything last night that leads me to believe
Steph Curry runs that
the
offense.
Warriors can stay with them. Who scores more points tomorrow? Jalen Brunson for the Knicks or Ant-Man for the Wolves?
I'm going Brunson.
Brought my pen. Which I don't have to normally explain, except for now that we're on the YouTube and people are like, what are you doing? You're going Brunson. Ant-Man has really been kind of in a slump for him. You know, not putting up like the 30-40 right now. Golden State plays great defense. I'll take Brunson as well.
All right.
Tonight in the NHL, the defending champion, Florida Panthers, are down 2-0.
Uh-oh.
They're home to Toronto. Panthers must win, of course, or risk falling behind 3-0. Florida -1.5 is the spread here, and the Panthers will prevail. Toronto is the Chicago Cubs of hockey, by the way. Not to the extent that the Cubs were when they won 100 years, et cetera. But the Maple Leafs haven't won the Stanley Cup in over 60 years. And Toronto is basically the home of hockey, right? If you live there, you know what I mean. But everything in Canada starts in Toronto and branches out from there in the hockey world.
Okay.
And the fact that the Maple Leafs have not won a Stanley Cup in over 60 years, something that really irks the whole country, I think, of Canada.
Interesting.
So Toronto has a lot of pressure, and I think that the champs will take advantage of it tonight. I'll take Florida. Who do you want after I said all that?
I'm going to go with the Leaves.
Goes with the Leaves anyway. You like to call them the Leaves.
And everybody likes to crush me for it. I know it's not.
Because they think that you don't know you're doing that.
I do it on purpose because it's not a leaf. There's many Leafs, so they're Leaves.
Yeah, Leafs should be. Yeah, no, it's a fair point, I think, by you.
Thank you.
And I don't
Well,
know.
why are we getting along today?
I
This
very
is
rarely
strange.
agree with you on grammar. San Diego Padres, Colorado Rockies tonight. I think it's a difficult line.
What is it,
Over, under?
-8.5 for the
No,
Padres?
Yeah, right. Padres are favored by 9 runs. No, this is 11.5 total runs for the game.
All right.
Now, remember what I said earlier. The Rockies are the lowest scoring team in all of baseball. It's incredible.
Yeah.
considering they play in Coors Field. But 11.5 runs. I mean, the Padres going to win 12-0 tonight? That's hard to, because I don't know that even Vasquez, I think, can slow down this Rocky offense.
I think I'm going to go with
over or under.
I think I'm going to go under, and the Padres win
9-1,
8-1,
8-1. All right. I mean, the Rockies are. You are kind of right. We should say that the Padres are favored by 6 runs.
Yeah.
And see what you want to do. Under seems like the play here, but I'll just because of Vasquez, I get worried. It's going to walk 3 guys. Somebody will bloop a double. Padres
You're
may.
so out on Randy.
I'm so out on Vasquez until he can throw a strike consistently. I'm going to be out on him. Dodgers -1.5 at Arizona. Arizona won last night. Sasaki is pitching tonight for the Dodgers.
The man without a fastball.
The man with only 1 win. You know, we had to have this guy or our season would be lost entirely.
I've been holding off on my rookie crushing because eventually he's going to be probably pretty
I'm
good.
sure he's going to be a good pitcher, but the notion that the Padres couldn't exist without him, I think has been proven rather erroneous, don't you?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, look at Yamamoto, though. And Tony told me to stop hanging from Yamamoto yesterday. But
right, you are a Yamamoto supporter now.
He was not great when he came over here in his first year, but he has really figured it out so far this year.
All right. Well, I know you're happy.
I'm not happy.
He's not pitching tonight. Sasaki against Eduardo Rodriguez. I'll take Arizona again, plus 1.5 runs.
I will too.
Okay. And one more. San Francisco Giants play in Minnesota tonight against the Twinkies. I used to call them the Twinkies. I haven't heard that much recent years.
I haven't had a Twinkie in too long.
You know, you can always just stop on your way home. It's a free country. Walk in and order a Twinkie.
I'll have 1 Twinkie, please.
I'm sure you can.
Sir, they're over there.
Can still do it.
I might do that.
Jordan Hicks pitches for the Giants tonight. Guess who's on the mound for the Twins tonight? We have totally forgotten them.
The sheriff's in town.
Chris Paddock, yes. 0-3, 5.57.
5.57.
Over under for this game is 9 runs. Giants, Twins in Minnesota. What do you got?
I am going to go over.
Over. All right. Chris Paddock. Come on, Paddock. What happened to this guy? He was going to be the next great thing. Padres parted with him, and it was like, wow, this is a really, big risk we're taking.
He's also had, I believe, a couple of Tommy John surgeries.
Like 9 of them. Yeah.
9.
I'll go under.
Okay.
All right. Tony joins us it's a rollicking Big Five.
Oh, yes.
You're going to love it. Don't miss it. It's coming up as Gwynn and Chris continues.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Coming up on Monday, the Padres are finally back home. We'll wrap
it's time for the Beaver Nuggets. So the story is somehow Buc-ee's got brought up. I think Frank brought it up.
Yes.
And it's a rest stop / mall / entertainment zone, super center. And someone said on the chat yesterday that they have like 100. They went to one with like 100 gas pumps, which is a lot, I guess. But while we were talking about this, Sam Levitt was in New York listening, and he goes, "Put me on, put me on, put me on." And so we put him on, and he's talking about how much he loves Buc-ee's. And so we got into the conversation, and it ended up being about the Beaver Nuggets. And so I had to order them because I find the name Beaver Nuggets very gross. I find it gross. But we're going to go with this. It's kind of like a Cheeto / a corn pop.
It's like a cheese doodle.
A cheese doodle. And we're going to eat them right now. I don't think these are bad, but here we go. I like it. It tastes like a corn pop.
I was going to say it tastes like a waffle, really.
It does kind of taste like a waffle. You know what? I'm in. These are good.
Yeah, I'm not.
You want another one?
No, I don't want another one. But yeah, I mean, it tastes like a waffle, like a waffle with syrup on it.
It's pretty good. I gotta say, I'm not hating these at all. Actually, they're very good. I like this. The waffle is a perfect explanation. If you've ever had, I'm sorry, I'm talking on the microphone with food in my mouth. But if you've ever had a, what is it? A Lay's potato chip that's waffle flavor. It's kind of like that. Sad Fryer says, "Are they cheesy?" No, they're not cheesy at all. Actually, they're sweet.
No, it's like a hard waffle with syrup on it, with dried encrusted syrup on it.
Now I don't exactly know what the puff is. It could be just fake something.
Most likely. I mean,
it's like caramel a little bit too. All right, I gotta stop eating these because I will eat the whole bag. I love these things. I'm gonna leave them here though because I will eat this if I go home. It's just gonna be a bunch of beaver nuggets in my bed as I sleepwalk or something like that. All right, it's time for the beaver nuggets. So the story is somehow Buc-ee's got brought up. I think Frank brought it up.
Yes.
And it's a rest stop / mall / entertainment zone, super center. And someone said on the chat yesterday that they have like 100. They went to one with like 100 gas pumps, which is a lot, I guess. But while we were talking about this, Sam Levitt was in New York listening, and he goes, "Put me on, put me on, put me on." And so we put him on, and he's talking about how much he loves Buc-ee's. And so we got into the conversation, and it ended up being about the beaver nuggets. And so I had to order them because I find the name Beaver Nuggets very gross. I find it gross. But we're going to go with this. It's kind of like a Cheeto / a corn pop.
It's like a cheese doodle.
A cheese doodle. And we're going to eat them right now. I don't think these are bad, but here we go. I like it. It tastes like a corn pop.
I was just saying it tastes like a waffle, really.
It does kind of taste like a waffle. You know what? I'm in. These are good.
Yeah, I'm not.
You want another one?
No, I don't want another one. But yeah, I mean, it tastes like a waffle, like a waffle with syrup on it.
It's pretty good. I gotta say, I'm not hating these at all. Actually, they're very good. I like this. The waffle is a perfect explanation. If you've ever had, I'm sorry, I'm talking on the microphone with food in my mouth. But if you've ever had a, what is it? A Lay's potato chip that's waffle flavor. It's kind of like that. Sad Fryer says, "Are they cheesy?" No, they're not cheesy at all. Actually, they're sweet.
No, it's like a hard waffle with syrup on it. With dried encrusted syrup on it.
Now I don't exactly know what the puff is. It could be just fake something.
Most likely. I mean,
it's like caramel a little bit too. All right, I gotta stop eating these because I will eat the whole bag. I love these things. I'm gonna leave them here though because I will eat this if I go home. It's just gonna be a bunch of beaver nuggets in my bed as I sleepwalk or something like that. All right, it's time for the beaver nuggets. So the story is somehow Buc-ee's got brought up. I think Frank brought it up.
Yes.
And it's a rest stop / mall / entertainment zone, super center. And someone said on the chat yesterday that they have like a
back. Big Five coming up. Sorry, I got to take a second with this. The Twinkie is 95 years old. It was invented in 1930. It was named by the vice president of the Hostess Corporation, which makes Twinkies, because he saw a billboard talking about twinkle toe shoes. And he thought, I kind of think that's catchy. So he went with Twinkie.
I mean, Twinkie is
there you go.
Stood the test of time.
95 years. You know how many Twinkies, according to Forbes magazine, are made each day?
Oh, my gosh. Each day?
Yep.
10 million.
A million.
Oh.
More than a million.
Wow.
10 million.
There's a million Twinkies that each day being made. There's a million Twinkies at least being eaten somewhere.
Right. Somewhere.
That is crazy.
Not here. All right, let's check traffic and then get into today's Big Five.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by City Cruises. Got a few things starting off our afternoon commute. Northbound 5, just before the 8, there's a 3-vehicle accident blocking the slow lane. Also, southbound 125 before Hamishon accident has just been cleared out of the 2 right lanes. Watch out for lots of residual there. And near the border, southbound side of the 805, right before Camino de la Plaza, an accident has been cleared out of lanes. Set sail with Randy Hauser as he lights up the bay for an exclusive concert cruise like no other. Join us on Friday, May 23rd with City Cruises, live in San Diego for an epic night of country music, dinner, drinks, and skyline views. Get tickets now at citycruises.com/live. And Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only. It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today in the Big Five. Bill Belichick's girlfriend is back in the mix, everybody. And the Giants' first-round pick, Abdul Carter, has had a really hard time finding a number for his team, so we'll talk about that as well. But first, we need to start with
hard-hitting stuff today you found, huh?
It's a Friday, as you
Okay.
can tell. I found this, the TMZ Big Five is what we're probably going to be
Okay.
calling this today. This one is
Your
a legit
favorite.
Yeah, it is.
Let's
It
go.
is. This one actually is a legit question, though, because our guy Jake Cronenworth is back tonight, and he was reinstated to the team with Oscar Gonzalez being optioned to AAA. Gonzalez got a pretty good look with the Padres, ended up hitting 220 and 59 at-bats with the team. Probably not the last time we're going to see him with the big league team, but Chris, what does he need to improve on to get called back up?
Power.
No homers. The
he hit,
OPS is like
I think he had 22, 23 home runs when he was with Cleveland a couple years ago. I know he hit a huge home run to win one of those long 15-inning playoff games before they did the Ghost Runner thing. I think they were looking for a little more power from him. Batting him 5th, 6th in the order.
He's got 13 career home runs.
13 career. Okay. So look, he's not Mickey Mantle, but I think he could, maybe a couple of long balls would have endeared him to this club. I'm a little worried about this. It's great. You got to have Jake back, but Iglesias is really struggling, and you don't really have a right-handed hitting DH right now. In fact, the other night in the game against the Yankees, Gavin Sheets just started against Max Fried. And I don't know that Gavin Sheets, hasn't proven one way or the other, but I don't feel that confident with him against a lefty. So with Gonzalez out, remember, you already sent out Connor Joe, you cut Yuli Gurriel, so all of your right-handed guys are gone. And so now, you got Lockridge, basically. But if he's in the lineup in left field, who's your DH? So this is a bit of an issue right now going forward. But happy to have Jake back. There's no question about that.
Yeah. Tony, what is Oscar Gonzalez?
Campusano was the other right-handed
Yes.
that they sent out. I was thinking of another one, yeah.
Go ahead. Tony, what do you think Oscar Gonzalez needs to do to get back on the big league club?
And just keep working on his game. I think that's fake news, what Chris was talking about, being worried about a right-handed DH. They've done pretty well without a right-handed DH to this point. So I think at some point we get to the deadline. That's something that can be addressed at that point. I don't think it's a worry. It's hard for me to consider that a worry at 23 and 12 at this point. So you're not calling Gonzalez up to come in and be anything other than really what he was able to do while he was taking filling the void that was left from, whether it was Hayward or Merrill being out. this team is still good, regardless of whether Oscar becomes the power hitting outfielder that maybe some are seeking.
I will add to this because one thing I'll say that Tony's right about the right-handed DH. They had a right-handed DH in the lineup for the first 2 months of the season. They didn't do anything, and they still have this record. So
who was I'm trying to think.
Gurriel mostly.
Oh, Gurriel. There we go. All right. I did enjoy the drop of fake news, though. That was fun.
Not bad.
haven't heard that used in a while.
I hear it used every day on CNN. I didn't know we were going to the news channel here.
You are turning a tinge of orange, Chris.
Yes, I'm feeling that way.
Number 4.
All right. The Texans and rookie wide receiver Jaden Higgins have agreed to a fully guaranteed 4-year, $11.7 million contract, making him the first second-round pick in NFL history to have a fully guaranteed contract. Players selected in the first round are usually the only draft picks to receive this fully guaranteed contract deal, but Texans general manager Nick Caserio had no issues making history with Higgins' agent, Chris Cabot of Equity Sports. Tony, what's going to be the trickle-down effect of a second-round guy getting a fully guaranteed contract?
I don't know if there's a trickle-down effect. Remind me who this one is. Which wide receiver is this?
I don't know who he is.
He's Iowa State. He was pick number 34 overall. He was the second pick of the second round.
Is he the guy that made Brock Purdy who he is today?
No. Brock Purdy made him who he is.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I think this might be a one-off. I don't know that you're going to see. This is clearly a guy that the Texans believe is going to pan out in a real way. So I don't know that this is something that other teams are looking to do. I think generally they like to save those spots for the first rounders. And so maybe in this particular case, the Texans felt like their first and second rounder could be that guy. So I think I don't think this will be a trickle down effect. I think this is a one-off.
Okay, Chris, what do you think? Is there any trickle down effect from this?
I imagine a few more second round picks will ask for it.
That's what I was thinking.
For sure.
The first round picks are going to
get it anyway. Yeah, well, they get it anyway. The second round picks will ask for it, but I don't think too many teams are going to be in a hurry to make this a regular thing. I mean, most teams, as much money is spent in pro sports on contracts, ultimately, most organizations are cheap.
Yes.
Which is hard to say when they're handing out, such contracts.
But in relation to what they make.
Well, my other point on that is that if they don't have to do something, and they've never had to do this with a second round pick in the past, not too many teams are going to be in a hurry to do it. So I think that most people will say, well, yeah, well, if your second round pick says, I want guaranteed money, and you say, well, we're not giving it to you, and they say, well, then I'm not signing, then you say, all right, go to Houston. Maybe he'll sign you.
Go to Houston.
Maybe you can get him to do it.
I just thought this was kind of weird. I mean,
a little bit.
Kind of a no-name guy who gets a guaranteed contract.
If he ends up as a good player, then it's money well spent.
It is money well spent because then they have him while he's a good player.
Number 3.
Now, Giants' first-round pick, Abdul Carter, has his new number, but it did not happen without major drama. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but
I heard about it.
Yeah, apparently Carter wanted 2 numbers, but both of them were retired by the New York Giants. He wanted 56 or 11. 56 was retired for Lawrence Taylor, and 11 was retired for Phil Simms. So I guess Carter went to LT and asked him if he could wear it, and LT said no.
Don't blame him, honestly.
I think he said, I don't care if you wear 00. Make a name with that number or something.
Yeah, make your own way.
Phil Simms was cool with him wearing it, but I guess his family ended up voting it down, which is strange to me too. So Carter settled on number 51, which is a Ken Norton Jr. number. So Ken Norton Jr. is great.
All right.
Chris, does it make you a jerk if you don't let a player wear your number?
Make you a jerk?
Yes.
No. And a matter of fact, I mean, in the case of LT, it's such an iconic number, and he's honestly considered one of the greatest ever at that position. I almost think that LT was trying to protect Abdul Carter from himself by saying no. Because if Abdul Carter puts number 56 on with the New York Giants and runs out there and is only half the player that LT is, which he probably is going to be, people are going to be critical of him. There's no way he's going to ever live up to LT. And I don't think he would have looked right in Phil Simms' number either. So I have no problem with this. There's great tradition with the Giants organization. This isn't the Jaguars, somebody like that. So pick your own number and make your own way with it. I agree with Lawrence Taylor this time, and I rarely do.
Is Mark Brunell the only number retired by the Jaguars?
I don't know who's retired by the Jaguars.
Look while Tony's answering.
Right. If you want your own number that you want, go to a team that doesn't have retired numbers.
Tony, does it make you a jerk if you say no when someone asks you to wear your retired number?
Initially when the first time I heard about this, it bothered me that he even would ask LT
I think so.
For the number, right? And I've come around to the idea that maybe he didn't mean it in that type of way. Like he wants to wear the number for the sake of to
honor him
being right in that case, and I can buy that, but I don't think you're a jerk if you're LT and you're like, nah, man, I earned that. I earned that to be retired, right?
Yeah, he did.
And I don't know that. And listen, I don't know that he is meaning to protect this young man, but I think he is in essence because we talked about it yesterday. The scrutiny on these type of things now versus when LT was in is on a whole nother level. And Chris is 100% right. If he goes out there. And let's say he's not even half. Like he stinks. Oh, the type of ridicule you would get.
Do you know how many videos they're going to post of number 56 from the old days and put it next to your video?
Right. They gonna have the memes side by sides and have the TikToks out there. I think although I said my initial reaction was like, why would you even? Like who gave him LT's number to call in the first place? Like the Giants just handed that out.
Well, the general manager's a nice guy. I Joe Shane. I think he asked him to call Saquon Barkley to see if 26 was available as well.
I don't mind. I don't think you're a jerk if you say no. And I've come around to him asking and wanting to honor it versus him trying to make it his own because he can't. LT is literally the only person that defensively people talk about outside ahead of Dion. Yeah. That's how good LG was as a pro. He was like the guy.
He's the guaranteed starting outside linebacker on the all-time NFL team.
Right.
So
right.
Unfortunately, I never was able to really remember watching LT play because I think he retired right around the time I was 7, 8, or something like that.
He played with a mean streak, dude.
I've seen the highlights. He looked like he wanted to kill people all the time.
I legitimately think that's what he was thinking every play.
He was pretty good in pass coverage as well, which was rare for a rush linebacker.
Here's something I don't know. Where did he play college? Oh, is it Penn State?
No, North Carolina, I think, LT.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Him and MJ, yeah. They definitely.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not realize that one of the greatest football players of all time is from North Carolina.
And of course, we have our own LT.
He's from North Carolina. He went to school there.
Yeah.
We of course have our own LT.
Of course, LaDainian Tomlinson,
the TCU running back. But I think in the history,
Come on in and tell me I sent you.
Thank you, LaDainian. I think in the history of football, if you sat and had the discussion, you said who should be the LT.
Yeah,
I think Lawrence Taylor would get the nod over.
He was first,
as great as LaDainian Tomlinson was.
I love LT. I don't think it's close. I think maybe here in California it might be, San Diego it might be, but the rest of the country is gonna say
Lawrence Taylor. Yeah, weird.
The best Lawrence Taylor thing that I've ever seen was when he was in The Waterboy and he said, "Don't smoke crack."
He knew of what he was talking.
I guess so. The joke hit me a little bit a couple years down the road.
Number 2.
All right, this is kind of serious, but Draymond Green last night got another technical foul, and after the game, he had a message for everyone, and here is what he said.
Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
So he is tired of it. And this is what's going around today. So, Tony, do you think that Draymond Green is painted as an angry black man?
Okay, let's have some context to this conversation. It has been reported that right after the game, there was a confrontation between him and a fan, some racially charged incident that took place shortly after the game. Fan was ejected. Another fan walked out on his own. Now we get to this portion of the thing. After the game, he's already been teed up and felt the way he felt. I'm not sure that his energy in that particular clip was indicative of what actually happened in the game. That being said, I think there's a couple different things. I think we only know Draymond as the basketball player and what he does on the court, right? We don't know him at all for anything off the court negative or anything of that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, he's never been in trouble off the court.
Right. And so, but that being said, what we do know of him on the court is of a guy that plays with a lot of physicality, a ton of emotion that I would say a lot of people would say spills over more often than not. And that is unfortunately all people are going to have to judge him on is that. Now, I don't think Draymond is an angry black guy, and I don't think that's necessarily the narrative that's being pushed, is that he's somehow that type of way off of outside of the court. But I do think sometimes the commentary spills into it carries over into who he is as a person versus what he's doing on the court. Basketball isn't a sport in which this is the first time we're seeing this. We've had these characters throughout decades of basketball in different teams in different uniforms. And so I think he was frustrated, although I thought the refs got the call right, in my opinion. I think it's an automatic flagrant when you hit anybody in the head, period. Like, no matter who you are, that's what happened. And to be frank, I mean, it wasn't as though, we saw the aftermath of that tech and how he was talking to the referee. It definitely didn't seem like he was in control at that point.
I might have run off the court, Tony, if I was one of those referees. He looked pretty intimidating there.
He did. But I feel for him in terms of some of the commentary may spill into that, but I don't think the main, what was the word he used?
I don't remember.
The storyline, the focus.
I don't think that is the focus, Mo. I think the focus is what he has done. His emotions have spilled out onto the court and how that comes off. I don't think people think Draymond is some bad dude, but sometimes like I said, the commentary leads into that type of discussion.
Chris, is Draymond Green, and is he being painted as an angry black man?
I don't think so. I think he adds to the narrative with his reaction sometimes. There's no question. He looked like he was honestly going to go back to the bench when Steve Kerr took him out of the game and go right up into the crowd. And, Steph Curry had a talk with him. We were kidding about that yesterday, that Steph Curry is the Draymond whisperer.
He is.
Sometimes he's the one guy that can talk him off the ledge. So I think he does add to that narrative just by his incredible intensity out there. I don't know that everyone's trying to paint him as that, though. I think he's something he's perceiving a little bit. And if he was upset about the call, Tony's right. You can't flail your arms like that after you get bumped and hit somebody in the face and not get a technical foul. I don't think they were picking on him in this situation. But there's no way this guy can be, quote, an angry black man. He's way too smart for that.
He's very
out
smart
on the court. He's one of the smartest players I've ever seen. And he is the closest thing in this era that we have to Dennis Rodman.
No
and
doubt.
It's not fair. Rodman was lunatic in his own way. But I also saw Dennis Rodman almost win the Celebrity Apprentice one time with his business sense and his acumen of how to put things together and how to get people to do stuff. Dennis Rodman was a pretty sharp guy. But you would have never known it by the way he played on the court. He was out of control.
They both do do the job of towing that line that is borderline overboard, borderline just stepping on the line.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them great.
And the other thing about Rodman, which people won't think about, one of the smartest players I've ever seen until Draymond Green came along, because Draymond Green's just as smart. So I don't look at him that way. Maybe some people do, but I don't think they're certainly not seeing the correct picture.
I told you guys about my story with Dennis Rodman, right?
I don't know.
I was at the Newark airport going to Ireland, and I was a drinker at the time. So I was in the bar before I got on the plane. Some dude sat next to me. I look, it's Dennis Rodman. And I look at him drunkenly, and I say, "Are you Dennis Rodman?" And his person came over to me and said, "Please don't talk to Mr. Rodman." And
that's fair.
I was like,
I think that's fair. On that
okay. It was very awkward, and I felt like running into a hole.
He knew what we know now.
Yeah.
At this point.
Oh man. Yeah, are you Dennis Rodman? And the guy just like Dennis just like snaps. Some guy. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't snap, but that was a really, really sobering moment. Is what it was.
Number 1.
All right, this Bill Belichick and his girlfriend thing is getting out of control, and Jordan Hudson is in the news again. According to reporter Pablo Torre, he spoke to 11 sources who have dealt with Hudson, and he heard that UNC, North Carolina, has banned her from coming to the campus and the football facilities.
Is Pablo Torre the one that was at ESPN?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he has his own podcast
gotcha.
now. I think it's called Pablo Torre Finds Out. No, I don't know what it is actually. Anyway, however, immediately after this was posted, North Carolina said that it's not true. She is allowed at the football facilities and can continue managing Bill Belichick. Pablo Torre also said that Bill's family is really, really worried she's going to ruin his legacy. So, Chris, what do you think is the truth here?
I think the family's being a family. Families always think they know everything about everybody else in the family, and they ought to just leave it alone and let Bill be Bill. Secondly, I think that Bill Belichick is wise as a fox here. Everybody thinks he's being stupid and getting taken advantage of. I see something completely different. I see Bill Belichick putting this gal in charge of his personal affairs and in a way being a shield between him and the outside world and media. And secondly, being the bad guy. She is always the bad guy now. If there's any issue with Bill Belichick, they blame her. So he can go on and do his business. I think this is exactly how he wants it. I think people ought to leave it alone, leave him alone. If you want to be critical of her, maybe that's a little fair, but to a certain extent, she's doing what she's being asked to do by her boyfriend, and I think she's obviously doing it well.
It's just I don't have a problem with the relationship. It's just shocking when you say boyfriend and
Bill
Belichick
that does
is
seem
the
a little
boyfriend.
weird. I mean, that's this is what he wants her to do. I mean, the whole 60-minute interview, she was just, interrupting when they asked questions that he said he didn't agree to.
We're not talking about that.
Well, he said he didn't agree to answer those questions, but who was the bad guy? Not him.
No. He just sat there in his sweatshirt with holes in it.
I think it's working for Bill, honestly, and I think people ought to just leave it alone.
Tony, what do you think happened here?
I don't really care, honestly.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm trying to figure out why my man Pablo is interviewing 11 people about
Pablo.
Bill Belichick's girlfriend.
Because it's getting him views now.
I'm being honest. I'm at joking. Is that the concern? Is that he is being taken advantage of? Because otherwise, who cares what Bill is having his? It is weird to say girlfriend because, with that gap, but his lady friend. I don't. Why do we care? Is it hurting something institutional wise for the University of North Carolina? Is she fudging some of these students' grades? Is there something that I'm missing that makes it important that we know?
No, we all just think that we all think we know how he should run his life, and that's that's.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
I
really do.
If that's the case, I don't care. Bill, have at it, brother. Do your thing. You are. How old is Bill?
Like 74.
His Riz is out of control. So
That
go
is
ahead,
true.
man. Do your thing. It has no effect on me or really anybody who's actually talking about this. Now, here's another question: Are there like University of North Carolina parents complaining about her? Like, I'm honestly trying to understand why anybody cares.
I think honestly,
unless they think she's being, unless people think he's or she is taking advantage and abusing or doing something along those lines. I don't understand why we care.
I think people are just upset in the media mostly because they have to try to get their way through her, the gatekeeper, to get to him, and she doesn't allow it.
I also think it's just a bunch of
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Tony Gwynn Jr. here. Get up to speed on sports news on your way home from work. Keep up with Gwynn and Chris weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station. Attention, 97.3 The Fan listeners. If you're drowsy, sluggish, or feeling fatigued, you're about to get your afternoon boost with Tony Gwynn Jr.
Nevertheless, I think this guy's girlfriend should be allowed to look, not touch.
Chris Ello.
When are you going to realize that I don't listen to you?
And Matt Skraby.
He's got dumps like a truck.
Cisco.
Yeah.
Don't blame us for any side effects.
You thrilled our fans throughout the postseason with a great performance.
Gwynn and Chris are ready to go.
All right, so that was weird. We went right from Tony talking to the top of the hour. Technology is fantastic.
Chris is being really nice right now, but this is my fault.
It's okay.
It's not okay.
Not the end of the world.
I am not okay with myself right now.
All right, don't be okay with yourself. We'll all survive. We're getting into the 4 o'clock hour. We covered 99% of what we were talking about with Belichick, and the final 1% was, the fact that we don't really care that much. So
the Big Five was almost over, but I'm not.
You
happy
hit the
with
wrong
myself.
button.
No, I didn't hit any buttons.
You didn't prepare the right button.
That's the problem. Is I didn't hit any buttons.
Yeah. All right.
I'm mad at myself right now.
Well, I got an idea. Get yourself buttoned up. Ha! Sammy Levitt is coming on in about 35 minutes. He'll have the Padre pregame show. It's ahead of tonight's ball game. Padres Rockies coming up from Coors Field in Denver, a place where the Padres, frankly, have not done well. Okay. They've won 41% of the time there since the inception of Coors Field. 1995 was when that started, Scrape, if you can believe that. Coors
1995?
Coors Field is now 30 years old, and the Padres have never done well there. As a matter of fact, their overall record at Coors Field is worse than it is at Dodger Stadium.
Oh.
And that's saying something because the Dodgers are usually pretty good and the Rockies are usually pretty bad. Having said that, and I understand people are concerned, anything crazy can happen in Denver. This is maybe the worst Rockies team ever, and it may turn out to be simply the worst team ever. Not just Rockies, team. The Rockies, through 37 games this year, compare miserably to some of the worst teams in baseball history. I mentioned the 1899 Spiders, Cleveland Spiders, earlier. The Spiders actually had a better record through 37 games than the Rockies do now. The last team and only other team to ever start a season 6-31 was the 1988 Orioles. The Orioles started that year 0-21. Can you imagine going through that to start a season?
That'd be pretty tough.
Yeah, and they were 6-31. The good news for maybe the Rockies moving forward is that Oriole team ended up with 54 wins that year, which isn't good, but it's not the record. The record is held by the 62 Mets. Then the 62 Mets are a team that people have laughed at, made fun of, joked about. They were an expansion team with no talent, and they've been the butt of baseball humor for over 60 years. The 62 Mets had won 12 games at this point in the season, twice as many as the Rockies have. And, this is how bad the Rockies are. They're a minus 109 in run differential. They've already had 4 losing streaks of 6 games, including their current one, or 6 or more. They've had 2 6s and 2 8s. They played 12 series. They've lost them all. They've been swept 6 times. They've been swept twice at home. And they've scored more than 4 runs only 5 times in their 18 home games. They don't score. And that, in fact, as we pointed out, they're the lowest scoring team in all of baseball coming into this weekend series. So you are talking about historically bad right now. The White Sox last year were 9-28 at this point. 3 games better than what the Rockies are now. I'm just trying to make comparisons for you so we can get an idea of what we're dealing with here. Were you able to find that quote, or you were busy with other things? Look, I call your attention to this. Instead, we won't play it.
No. I pulled it, so let's play it.
Okay, Sean Bouchard played at Cathedral High, and he's buddies with Braden. And Sean Bouchard is an outfielder on this Rocky team. He's been on the team all year. He's kind of their 4th or 5th outfielder. He starts against left-handed pitching, so he's not in the lineup tonight. But Sean Bouchard was on with Braden earlier. And I thought it was interesting because Braden asked him, how are you handling this? This is awful to have to go through this.
Yeah.
What the Rockies are dealing with. Here's what Sean Bouchard said. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, it has been tough. Obviously, we see everything, right? We're human. We see it. We feel it. We know. I mean, no one feels worse, right, about anything than us. And it is tough, right? But it's a long year, and there's a lot of things that can happen. And at the end of the day, but this is our job, right? Like we show up. This is our job every single day. We do everything we can, obviously, to be prepared and get ready for the games. And it's obviously been a really tough stretch, and we need to start doing some things obviously a little bit different, myself included. But to your point, though, any day in the big leagues is a good day. And, it's hard to have that perspective and gratitude in the moment when you're obviously losing as much as we are right now. But, I think having the right perspective sometimes and coming in with a good attitude and being positive, it's hard on a daily basis, especially when you're, have the record that we have. But, someone's got to do it, right? And what's the alternative is, you show up and pout and feel bad for yourself. It's the big leagues. No one else is going to feel bad for you. No one's going to take it easy on you. So, it's tough, but we have a lot of good players here. I strongly believe that, the talent here is better than obviously what we're showing. So, I have every bit of faith in the guys and the team to obviously turn things around a little bit. And I see them working day in, day out, behind the scenes. But, to your point, it is tough, and, something's definitely got to change.
I thought the most interesting thing there, there was a lot of it.
It was a good answer.
It was. The most interesting thing there was this. Every day is a good day in the big leagues. That's a hell of a good way to look at this.
Yeah.
As he said, he didn't say this exact thing, but being 6-31 in the major leagues is better than being 31-6 in Double-A.
That is very true.
Right? So, I think, and I got to believe that some of that, it still comes from Bud Black too, who tries to somehow magically keep this thing afloat.
It'd be very hard to motivate these guys.
It really would. But that answer by Sean Bouchard was quite interesting, I thought. Because, we can sit here and just, poke fun at the Rockies, and we do. But they have to actually go through it. So that was a really good question. If you want to hear the whole interview with Sean Bouchard, Braden's show earlier today, you can find it 97.3 The Fan SD.
That's why.
.com.
That's why I don't want to talk about how bad they are, because I feel like even the terrible teams put together a 5-game win streak at some point. I don't know if this team will do it.
Not yet. They've got a 2 in a row right now as their best, and they only did that once so far this season.
Well, I don't want it to be this weekend.
Nobody does. Nobody does. You get a little nervous about it for sure. I get that. Get a little nervous about, that the Rockies are going to do what they always do to the Padres and catch a little fire here. It's not going to happen.
Oh, yeah, I don't like it when you say that.
I know
you said
you
this
don't.
before.
I've said it before. Well, look, we'll all start finding out about a half an hour from right now with Sam Levitt's pregame show. All right, we got to take a break early, Skraby says.
I messed everything up, people.
Because the last break was a debacle.
Yeah. That's a good word for it.
But before we do, I want to tell you what's coming up next, kind of to wrap up the show today. Today would have been Tony Gwynn 65th birthday. Happy heavenly birthday to Mr. Padre. May 9th, 1960. Today is May 9th. Kirk Kenny will come on and help us celebrate that heavenly birthday of the Padres' all-time great when we come back, after all of this stuff that Skraby has to do.
From the 8th.
We welcome you back. 4:19 is the time. Sam Levitt's pregame show is coming up. Jake Cronenworth is back in the lineup tonight after a day more than a month off. Jake will be batting sixth. Coors Field tonight in Denver. Padres against the Rockies. Oscar Gonzalez was sent down to make room for Cronenworth's return. Sam Levitt's pregame show will detail all of that in about 15 minutes. But we finish up our part of the afternoon with Kirk Kenney, who put a nice article together today, as he often does, in the San Diego Union-Tribune. Today being what would have been, Kirk, the 65th birthday for the late, great Tony Gwynn. And I think, looking at the headline, which I know you don't write, but the story referring to all of this is the amazing thing that it has now been 24 years since Tony Gwynn, our Anthony's dad, has even played in a game, and yet he still has the kind of impact he does in our community. Right?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Yeah, to pick up on that, that's what makes these stories so fun for me to do. I mean, I put on the internet children named after Tony Gwynn, and that's how I located some of these people. And the first guy I talked to is from Connecticut. The guy's almost 3,000 miles away, and Tony impacted his life growing up. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I never thought about that until I was lucky enough to be in Philadelphia one year, and I think it was his last season, and he came up to bat, and I think it was the old Veterans Stadium. I don't think Citizens Bank Park had opened up yet, and Tony came to bat, and he got an ovation, the likes of which I had never heard before for a visiting player, and I thought, wow, this is really something. These are people, like you said, Kirk, 3,000 miles away, who didn't even always get to see his games because they were so late at night. But, man, did they appreciate Tony Gwynn in Philadelphia. That was incredible to me. So it maybe it shouldn't be surprising to us.
What's also amazing is almost everybody you come across has a Tony Gwynn story, and as many of the stories are off the field when he came across somebody as they were on the field for what he did. And that's the other thing. So many times he touched people out of the limelight. And, they say character shows the most when nobody's watching. And, he'd make an impact on somebody's life. And just story after story after story. It never ends.
Yeah, Kirk Kenney is with us. May 9th was the day, 1960, Tony Gwynn. And he would have been 65 today. Sadly, we notice also that it's been 11 years since his passing. The time just, goes way too fast. But I'm glad that we all take a minute to think about Tony and do it more than once a year, right? We had the bobblehead night last week. We've got today, your story. It just brings, as you said, Kirk, even if you didn't know him, and most people, I think you're right, most people kind of did, because everybody ran into him at one time or another. It just brings a smile to your face because that's what he brought to your face.
Right. One of the guys I spoke with, his son's now 10, and his son is named, his first name is Gwynn, and they decided whether it was a boy or a girl, it was going to be Gwynn. They live down near Atlanta. But his son's just starting to ask more and more about Tony. And one of the things he asked was, does anybody else for the Padres get to wear number 19? And that's when his dad explained, no, that number's retired. No one else can wear it. But this kid plays for the Padres in youth league, and he gets to wear 19.
Yep, he's got 19.
That is awesome. I have to say, if you could wear 19 and your name is Gwynn, that is great.
And it might say, I don't know what youth league, but hopefully it has his name on the back.
That would
right?
be amazing.
Gwynn 19.
It does. Yeah,
okay.
It does.
So yeah, he's got it. This is neither here nor there, but I wore 19 some at San Diego State, and I don't even think I can mention it because he was 28 at San Diego State, which people don't know.
No.
But he's the 19.
19 is retired at San Diego State, but for someone else.
Right. He is was it Chris? I think it was Chris. Chris Gwynn.
Somebody whose name you already mentioned today, but it was not Chris.
Oh.
Bud Black?
It was Bud Black.
Bud Black wore 19?
Yes.
Did not know.
We need to do a Chris versus Kirk.
Kirk's
trivia.
good on San Diego State trivia. Yeah, he knows more about the baseball program than I do. Kirk Kenny is with us. Again, you talked to Tony Jr. We had him, and asking about this today, and he's just telling us, man, he just gets an outpouring from people, that want to write him and just say they're thinking about him today.
Major League Baseball put out a bunch of posts about Tony Gwynn Sr., a bunch of different cool things about his career, and it's nice for me to see all those things because I never got to meet him or talk to him or anything like that. And so I guess my question for you, Kirk, is like, what made I know what made him special, but like, can you explain to me why he just captured everyone's heart every time he met them?
Well, it started with his performance on the field, but it immediately carried off the field. One is a lot of people bring up his laugh. It's just this infectious laugh that you never forget and you never get tired of hearing. And then it's also a lifetime Padre, stayed in San Diego, then became the coach of the Aztecs. He was just and so accessible. I wrote something a few years back about what price his autograph was bringing, and I remember talking to him about it at the time, and he goes, "I don't know how it could be worth anything. I think I've signed for everybody."
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, no, that's true. My roommate back in right after I got out of San Diego State actually worked at a I want to say a Vons, but you'll get mad at me. A Pavilions,
yes.
But back then, I think it was Vons. Anyway, he was just a stock boy at the market, and he ran into Tony one time, and he goes, "Oh, I got to get Tony's autograph for Chris." So he asked him, and Tony signed something for me, which I thought was kind of comical in a sense. But yeah, no, you're right, Kirk. Everybody ran into him, and I think to help answer your question too, Skraby, he had an amazing ability to make whoever was there feel like the most important person in the room. Not him, but them. Mm-hmm. And that was a gift that he had. His laugh is part of it, but when you came across Tony Gwynn, you just felt better about yourself. He had a way of doing that.
There's one story that always sticks out to me, and I guess he got thrown out of a college baseball game, I think in Utah or something like that.
That's
and
right.
He was walking back to the hotel because he couldn't go to the game because he got thrown out.
Well, they had no clubhouse. So he had to go back to the hotel. Yeah, I had to go back to the hotel. There's nowhere else for him to go.
And someone told us that they asked him for an autograph even in that moment, and he graciously gave them the autograph.
He was walking back to the hotel room in his cleats.
Clack,
well,
clack,
he could do
clack.
stories just on autographs that he's given. I remember once when he was coaching at San Diego State, he was down scouting at Granite Hills, and some guy walked up to him with a crushed Coke can to autograph because I'm sure it was the only thing the guy could find to sign. And Tony signed it. And I'm just shaking my head. I think the only thing he would not sign is a Dodger hat.
I love it.
Fair enough.
That is awesome.
Well, it also explains why the year that I did travel with the baseball team and we did a bunch of their games, and because Strasburg was there, Tony loved Strasburg for a lot of reasons. One of the other reasons, because when we would go somewhere on the road, we get off the bus, half the people would go get an autograph from Strasburg instead of them all going to Tony.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he appreciated that. When do you know even, Kirk, like your first recollection of Tony Gwynn?
Oh, very much so.
Okay.
I had just started writing for the school newspaper at San Diego State, the Daily Aztec, in 1981.
Yeah.
And I believe it was on a Saturday. Tony finished his basketball career against New Mexico with like 16 points and 16 assists. And then 2 days later, it's a Monday, and they have a doubleheader against Southern Cal College, and Tony joins the team. And it's to the point now where it's mythical, and it's like he had 8 hits and 5 at bats. But
he did. No, it's true.
But he did definitely have, I think, both RBIs in the game, in the doubleheader, a couple stolen bases, several hits, several RBIs. So the guy comes back, and 48 hours later, he just hits the ground running, literally.
Yeah, and in those days, because I was on the club, we started working out for the season in September. He started working out for the season the day before he showed up, and he was already better than everybody.
Well,
I think he did tell me he cheated a little bit that year and came into the batting cages a little bit before the season ended.
Well,
but
yeah.
What? Okay, so my last question and comment, Kirk, is he was drafted by both the NBA and Major League Baseball. Now, do we know why? I mean, we know why he chose baseball.
On the same day by the same city.
Yeah. Was there ever a chance that he was actually going to do the NBA? Because obviously he's a Hall of Famer, a Hall of Fame baseball player, so he made the right choice. But it would be very alternate universe for him to be an NBA player. Was he do you think he was worried that he wasn't going to be as good in the NBA, or what do you think went behind his decision?
I think he figured he had a much better chance to have more longevity in baseball, and I would think that he's right. On top of which, if he had signed with the Clippers, they moved in like '84 to LA. And he might have just quit basketball then and said, "I'm not leaving San Diego."
Yeah, I think the closest he came to playing basketball, really as a full-time, career, was after high school when he was recruited to San Diego State to play basketball.
Yeah,
he was not recruited there to play baseball.
He was recruited to Cal State Fullerton, but they wouldn't let him play both, and that's what turned him towards San Diego State.
Yeah,
good on San Diego State.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a smart decision.
Good on San Diego State, but better on his old teammate Bobby Meacham, who told Coach Dietz, "You better get this guy on the team. He's the best player I've ever seen."
We need a book about Tony Gwynn Sr. and Coach Dietz stories.
Yeah, it would be a long one. It would be like our encyclopedia book. Be a lot of them. Hey, Kirk, thanks so much. Always, we can do this all the time, talking about Tony, and I appreciate you keeping his legacy alive. Kirk's story in the paper today. You can see it online. It's got a lot of stuff from Tony Jr. in there.
Yep.
And
if I could drop in, 5 years ago on the 60th birthday, I did 60 things to know about Tony Gwynn, and I put a link to that online. So that's another thing that people might be interested in reading.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that. I wonder how many of the 60 I'm lucky enough to know about. Probably.
I'll leave you with this one. He skipped the 4th grade.
What?
Yeah, didn't know that one.
You got to explain it now.
Well, he was too smart.
And I read in the item.
They used to move people ahead. I skipped a grade in when I was little as well. That's why I graduated so young.
Oh.
It happened in those days. People tried to hurry up and get through school, I guess.
So
by college, I never knew you were that good of a student.
I wasn't. I was a terrible student. I don't know how the hell they made a horrible mistake. Believe me,
man.
They made a horrible mistake. That's all I can say.
I'm gonna go check out these 60 things because I need to know more. I need to know more. Thank you, Kirk.
All right, Kirk. We'll see you soon.
Right.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
There he is, Kirk Kenny. Again, his article online here. Send your Union Tribune or just pick up a paper and read the latest from Kirk. And Tony Gwynn. It's never the wrong thing to do on this program or any program, I think, to take a segment about the great Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, it's very sad.
You asked a good question, Skrabe, as to what made him special, and I think that we kind of hit on it. Those are the things
because that's what I hear from everyone is that they felt like he was legitimately talking to them.
He was interested. He
wasn't trying to get out of the conversation. He was invested in them.
Pretty much every time. And, and playing on the same team with him at very first, he was on a pedestal because he was Tony Gwynn. You already knew he was a special guy, but that didn't last long because he brought you up to his level and came, to your level to where even though I was the worst player on the team and we all, this is documented. I felt like just as good a friend of his as the best guy in the team because that's the way he was able to do it.
That is different.
Yeah.
Because, I've played on teams where there's guys who are very good and they don't really pay attention.
There's different
to the
class systems.
The little old me's over here.
Yeah. No, Tony Gwynn did that beautifully. All right. One quick hockey. Toronto 2, Florida 1. Maple Leafs already lead the series 2-0. Florida, the defending Stanley Cup champs, had better get with it. We got Padres and Rockies and Sam Levitt next for Tony Gwynn Jr. On this, the day, heavenly birthday of his father and Mr. Skraby. Chris Ello. Have a good weekend, everybody. Get the brooms out and we'll
okay. All right. We're getting out of here. I can't do it.
See you Monday.